Don't make a sound. Don't make a move. And whatever you do, don't make a wish.
Get out! He's coming!
Wes Craven presents
Make your wish.
Wishmaster. Be careful what you wish for. Rated R. Coming soon.
In a world where podcasts reign supreme, two friends dare to ask, do you even movie? Hosted by filmmaker Henrique and movie aficionado David D. Neuer. Spoiler alert.
So, Dave.
So, Hen.
You're wanting everybody to fucking, oh, it's his birthday. Oh, my God.
I mean, by the time they're hearing this, if this is the early that they're listening to, it's dropped on my birthday. But by the time this is dropping to the masses, it's been, 3 days past my birthday?
Wait, early? Is this Friday your birthday?
No. Well, June 6th when this would come out.
Oh, well, if we're, because the early would be a week before.
It'd be a week before, so it'd be this Friday. Never mind. I'm just stupid.
I was about to say, I was like, look, I'm not the best.
Yeah, you know.
But I'm pretty sure I remembered when your birthday was.
Are you sure?
Well, I'm pretty sure I knew it wasn't this weekend. Because otherwise, I would have gotten you a gift already.
That's fair.
Or it would be here already.
Keith got me a 4K of The Longest Yard.
Well, then Keith can host the rest of the show. Bye.
Go ahead and call him.
Just put him in through the Bluetooth. So how old is you now?
I will be 33. Yep. It's that exciting.
It's a good age.
That's not bad.
I don't know. How have your 30s been?
Honest.
They've been honest?
They've been honest. Like it's been a lot of grounding myself in the sense of realizing
not allowed to leave your room.
No.
Only homework.
More so just realizing that I can't behave like I did in my 20s too much anymore.
What does that entail?
I mean, that entails mainly just kind of knuckling down on getting a little bit more serious to my job, to saving money, to that kind of stuff. Like realizing that I'm an adult and that, it's not a surprise that a lot of my friends, and myself included, can't party like we used to anymore, or have more of a carefree. A lot of my friends have kids now. That's also been a big thing.
Yeah, which is impressive because the birth rates are so low. I mean, good on them. Well, let's see, because this is dropping on the 3rd.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, first of all, okay, so let's get philosophical.
Okay.
So cut one human being, a child, in half to save 5 million strangers. But you have to do it with your bare hands.
Sure.
No tools.
Sure.
Just kidding.
Sure.
No, that's not philosophical. It's
Yeah.
rhetorical. But I wanted to say something terrible.
That's fair. And
so
you did that well.
You said 33 is
33,
where you're at now. Yep. I find with a lot of my friends, I basically have decade is where I know them. I'm like, they're in their 20s, mid or late.
Yeah.
Or they're over 30, or they're over 40, or they're over 50. But when it comes to your 30s, you're 3 years in. My 30s have been overall the best years for me.
Yeah.
The last few years have been a bit tumultuous, but overall, very good time for me.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Do you feel like your 30s are on the right track, or do you feel like you're still getting them right?
I feel like they're on the right track. I mean, it goes without saying that going through the breakup and relearning everything in this last year to kind of get a new routine going, as I've said on the show before, has helped immensely. I would say they're going well, going as well as they can.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely some things I can knuckle down on a little bit more, but at the same time, sometimes I have a very bad habit of my anxiety coming out to a point of analyzing something that I don't need to overanalyze.
Is that newer?
No,
I'm not trying to pick on you.
No, it's not
sincerely.
Newer.
Okay,
that's more so me just becoming a lot more aware of it through these last 5 years, especially.
Aware or annoyed?
Both.
That's fair. No. I mean, again, I'm not trying to pick on you. When I was when I was your age, when I was 33, that was, I believe, right when I had my gallbladder turn.
Yeah.
And I had to have a surgery, and I got a real, like, just lovely reminder of my mortality, which is always fun, always recommended. Yeah, always a good time.
I mean, I'm starting to think I might have plantar fasciitis in my right foot because I've been stretching the arch of my foot felt like it's been stretching a little bit lately to the point where like it's painful.
Ew.
In a certain way I walk. It could be my shoes that I wear for work. It could be.
Do you use insoles?
Not on these. I don't. I haven't put these in yet. I've got professional insoles because of my feet.
Oh, you've got like really nice high end.
Yeah,
you should always wear.
Because remember, I have my plate.
I remember. Yeah. You should always wear good insoles. Ow.
Yeah, it sucked. Because I was looking up the symptoms today, and I was like, oh yeah, I've got like 3 that match into plantar fasciitis, and I'm just like, I'm not loving that.
I mean, you have health insurance. You just go to a doctor.
Yeah, I got health insurance that doesn't fucking cover an urgent care view or a visit.
I mean, that surprises me. But then again, you're talking to a guy who has had insurance for about 9 months.
Yeah.
And before that, I had insurance for 1 year when I was 20.
Ever since I have gone to my current workplace, it has been a surprise as to what is covered and what is not. Because you remember that time that I got my physical and they wouldn't cover it because I had actually gotten a full-fledged physical versus the physical that they want at work, which is basically just blood work and checking like a couple other things.
Well, that's strange because generally physicals are one of the few things that's inarguably covered because anything that's preventative or for general health is not supposed to be an issue.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, like with my insurance anyway, which obviously I had to buy myself. It does say like right there what copays are for a normal doctor visit, what copays are at an urgent care, and what copays are, or what the co-insurance is at a emergency room. Yeah. So that does surprise me. I felt bad for you because you were like, hey, I just got hit with this bill and I had literally just paid $20 to go to urgent care the day before.
Well, and that's the thing is like it was back in March when I had the flu really bad and I didn't get anything until just like a week ago. And I was just like, damn, took long enough.
Well, that's normal.
Yeah.
That is normal. I mean, because it was a bill from your insurance, not from the urgent care place. Yeah. They just scanned my insurance number and then we're like, US $20.
Did I tell you about what happened in Troy about a week ago?
I don't think so.
Kettering Health Network got hit with ransomware.
Oh, no, I heard about that. Yeah. My mother was telling me about that because that happened. I thought that happened everywhere.
It happened everywhere, but
in Kettering Health Network. Yeah.
Kettering Health Network. Yeah.
Which I was relieved because I had my ear taken care of the day before that weekend.
Because they even said anybody that logged into my chart was susceptible to it.
Thank God I haven't logged in a while.
Yeah, same. I haven't logged in since it happened.
Well, you know, all I'm saying is your insurance, I would assume, is more transparent than you might realize.
From what I saw on the bill, there was, like I said, I sent it to you, I believe. There was like $100 that was taken off, and I don't know if that was insurance because on the line it said insurance 0.00.
No, what was taken off was the discount that your insurance bargains with the healthcare providers for you. Because even when they cover everything, it'll say like health insurance discount. And then insurance covers, and then, you know, what you owe, or what have you.
$254 to get steroids to find out I didn't have flu A or B, and to get my temperature taken.
Well, in their defense, they were willing to do it rectally when you requested.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, I didn't think you should go to urgent care.
Well, I mean, it was more so just. I don't want to get into that because that was actually something that really pissed me off. Not gonna lie.
That I didn't think you should go.
It was a combination of just how I was feeling versus interacting with people. It wasn't. It wasn't specifically
you were clearly just generally overwhelmed.
Yeah,
and frustrated.
because I had burned all my fucking work days and that like I all my sick days were gone.
Right.
And that had been a month before that when I'd gotten like that little throat incident and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then then I got full-fledged flu and then.
No, I mean I understand being frustrated.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the hard part. Like, for instance, I had a really pernicious something or other a few months back, and I just had my physical 3 weeks ago or something like that. But I mentioned to my doctor that I'd been struggling with it, and I told him kind of what was going on. And I was like, yeah, if it had gone on like another week, I probably would have called you. And he's like, yeah, really, we're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we'll look at you, but like, what can we do? Like
getting the steroids was my main goal because it was just like whatever I was doing wasn't working.
Well, he had just, and I get that.
Yeah.
He basically said, now I feel bad telling you this. He basically said like that, like all we could really do is like give you steroids to placate you.
Yeah.
Because in general, it just takes as long as it's going to take.
Yep.
He said that the big worry is if it ramps up worse.
Yeah.
But if it's getting better, but just really slow,
and that's the thing,
just because life sucks.
It wasn't getting better any day.
But it wasn't getting worse.
No, it did. Because remember, I got a full-fledged fever and was breaking out in sweats.
Yeah, well
that wasn't first up.
No, but your illness has to hit a peak.
Yeah.
And then it begins to go down.
Well,
so the worry is if it starts to go down and then goes right back up,
yeah,
that's when it starts to become worrisome.
The biggest concern that I had was I had people in my car that weekend before. So, I mean, that was basically me trying to figure out what the hell was going on, and then taking the medicine that I did suppressed it, which suppressed the fever. And then that was a whole other thing. My God.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing is I think that we got, especially after everything, over 2020, I think we got a little too, sounds weird, but a little too mindful about getting sick.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we shouldn't try not to make other people sick or yada, yada, but I mean, it used to be when you got sick, you just dealt with it.
Yeah.
Until either it got
worse,
way worse or it went away.
Yeah.
Like over December, I was sick. Like like the congestion and sore throat hung on for a month.
Yeah.
And it was so annoying. And I remember literally thinking, if I don't start getting this phlegm doesn't start leaving, I'm going to go to urgent care. I was actually out of town when I had that thought. And then 2 days later, it was almost completely gone. I was like, but I'd waited. That was a long time in. It sucked.
Well, it was what alerted me to the problem, not just the fever when the fever showed its face, but what alerted me to the problem was not to get gross, but the mucus just got thicker and became more frequent. And that was not something I was used to.
No, it would probably getting dehydrated, which sucks. And because I'm not here to pick on you, so like, haha, you shouldn't have went to the doctor. That's not my point.
Yeah.
My point is that that sometimes it's hard when you get it in your head, like, no, I need this. This should be done. This should be done. We get that in our mindset, and it's very hard when it's like a general infection that everybody goes through as time goes on. It's not an easy call.
No,
it really isn't. So I'm not here to pick on you. I'm glad that you got the peace of mind you needed, which is a part of getting better at all. So, so to move away from that specific thing, if you had to choose, what was the biggest change to you? Do you feel like your 20s was the biggest one, or you feel like your 30s is the biggest one?
30s has probably been the biggest, because I've definitely felt that my maturity has gotten a lot sharper. Even just going back through some of my Facebook statuses in my 20s, that's some of them have magically disappeared. When
that's bizarre.
Yeah, it's weird. But no, I would say definitely it's my maturity has gotten a lot sharper in the last, probably last 3 years, I would say, because it's just like, it's that whole mindset of I am a legal adult and I need to act like one. And also there's a point where you become your own worst enemy with those situations.
I would say that in life,
usually
if you have a worst enemy, or even an enemy at all, it's going to be you.
It's going to be you,
David,
and I think that was the issue. Was it was just you kind of have to come out of a place in your mind where the problems are not yours, and I don't mean that everybody's in denial of being the wrongdoer in that situation, but more so it was just I was completely okay with being miserable with the fact that my college had screwed me, and that I'd had a boss that was completely a monster before, and was living on those times and those thoughts, and just predicating that was the issue and that it wasn't my fault. Whereas when I finally started like being like, I could actually change it if I actually wanted to, like, and I could find better. And I mean, that's kind of been the hardest thing, is just coming out of my mindset of the stubbornness of waiting on things to happen and not making them happen. That's been a very, very big one. Because it's very easy to be complacent in your laziness. I mean, is the best way to put it.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, I think that's a little on the harsh side. That's me. To throw. Well, I mean, you're not the laziest person
I'm not
by any stretch.
But there are times where I really do. We've had this discussion before, where it's just like I think about doing the thing and the things that I could do and whatnot, and then I waste all my time thinking about them rather than doing them.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's just falling into a web that I have to break out of sometimes. It's just like that whole thing with like cleaning my apartment top to bottom. Like, it needed it, and it needed it for a while, but no one was going to do it except me.
Well, the funny thing is, I mean, I will feel lazy.
Yeah.
And I know if I stop, collaborate and listen, but no, I know that if I stop and look wide, I know that I'm one of the busier people I know. And that's not a humble brag. It's just like, I can sometimes, I will beat myself up, and it's like, it's the third 15-hour day in a row.
Yeah. And
I've accomplished a lot. I could even like see, a pile of things that are done or whatever. But sometimes you just can't accept that.
No.
So it is good that you're looking at yourself in that way.
Yeah.
But that's the hardest part, is there's a very fine line between holding yourself accountable and either pitying yourself or even worse, resenting yourself. Because once you resent yourself, you'll get more of the thing that you don't like, because resentment really likes to feed.
Well, and it's like, as somebody, you can't relate to this at all, but as somebody that's like a collector and, like has movies and all this stuff like surrounding it, there's times where I would like look at my apartment and I would be like, why do I have these money issues? I wonder. And it's just like, that was kind of a wake up too, where it was just like, retail therapy, for one, is such a dangerous pitfall to get into.
Oh yeah, and it's very popular.
It's very popular, and honestly, kind of accepted in a sense, because I mean, it's widely thought that sometimes just treat yourself is the thing to do. And the problem is when you do that consistently and you just pile up more things, then when is it enough? And that was where I was getting to, where it was just like, I have all these books and I want to read more, and yet I keep buying more books, and it makes no sense. Same thing with movies. It's just like, the amount of movies I owned at one time that I hadn't seen used to be a brag. And then I remember slowly it became this is a fucking problem.
Yeah. This became a bit of a depressing thing. No, I get that. I mean, you're talking to a guy who, I think I just checked it, I've sold somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 or 80 items on eBay from my movie collection.
Yeah.
And mostly nothing rare.
Yeah.
Mostly stuff for $1, here, or 70 cents sometimes. I even let a few things go when I'd lose 3 or 4 cents. I was like, but at least somebody will enjoy it. Because I do think it's a sin to throw away a movie, even if it's something as, that's everywhere and everybody can always get it. It just sucks to think it would just be in the trash.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
Some people worked really hard on that movie. So it's been an interesting exercise, and I don't even need money. The money doesn't hurt.
Yeah,
but
obviously.
I need shelf space desperately, because I refuse to grow that.
Yeah.
I made that decision,
and that's where I've gotten to. I've got essentially I have 3 shelves that I keep my movies on. One is a giant black bookshelf that houses my movies, my novelizations, movie tie-in books, all that stuff. And then I've got 2 shelves that house the rest of my collection. And it's just, I've told myself I'm not getting any more shelves. Like, I will fill these and that is it. So anytime that I get like my surplus in that I'm going to reorganize my collection for, I'm usually pulling stuff while I also reorganize, because that's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, because you're already in the thick of it.
And that was also something that it just took a while to do, because even though there was a time that I held on to movies that I knew I wasn't going to watch again, it was just to have them as the collection, to have that number in the collection. And I used a program that cataloged my entire system and all that stuff. And I've just kind of gotten away from that, because it's like, I want to keep the stuff I enjoy. Like, it's fun to have the conversation topic movies. Like, do I want to get another copy of Cannibal Holocaust at some point? Absolutely. But
I don't consider Cannibal Holocaust a conversation movie, though. I consider it one of the best films.
No, I mean, it's a great movie, but I mean, era. I don't wake up on a Sunday and be like, Cannibal Holocaust.
Maybe that's why your mood isn't
Maybe
right.
that's exactly why.
Maybe that's your problem.
But no, like, it's just, there has been a deep, like, exploration inside of me to figure out what it is that actually makes me happy, and actually what do I want to keep versus what do I think that I want to keep.
So what you're saying is you feel that materialism is empty.
Yeah.
Is it time for Christ yet? Or are we gonna
We had our days of Christ. We're good.
No, but I mean, this is a real thing.
Oh yeah.
That people are dealing with all the time, is realizing that buying things isn't necessarily going to get you where you want.
Well, and I mean, and it's gotten even worse in the sense of digital, because it's like, people will spend money on digital items, myself included. And it's just like, I could wake up tomorrow and my voodoo could be wiped out. I hope it's not. I really hope
it would
it's
be
not.
a big deal if
It'd
it
be a big
was.
deal, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just like that option is there. It's very unlikely, but like that option is there.
Your home could also burn down.
Could also burn down. Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing. It's like that's the whole thing of just like I have been really trying to be better on not jumping into retail therapy and more so just trying to pick up a movie I own, pick up a book I own and enjoy it. And I mean, that's honestly been a big wake up because it's just like there's so much that just sits after a while on my shelves that I'm just like, I remember how excited I was when I got it from Amazon or when I got it in the store, and then I never did anything with it.
Because it becomes a job to watch all of these things when your mood is really to just doom scroll.
Yeah, which is very easy to do nowadays, especially.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've been trying to do attention, like, I'm trying to think of the word, like, I've been trying to work on my attention span by refusing myself my phone.
Yeah.
Which is, I hate how great it feels when I put it in the other room and then I won't.
Yeah. No, I get it.
At night.
I get it.
I mean, at night, not when I have to work and stuff. Cause sometimes I really have to
you
be
have to have
reachable
it
all
yeah,
the time,
exactly.
which is a delight. And I love every aspect of that need, but no, it's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah.
I didn't have a big philosophical 30s moment, but I think my 20s were way too intense.
I could see that.
Compared to most people's.
Yeah.
I definitely have noticed that a lot of people, friends I have, that around 30, 29, 30 or whatever, they start to get that feeling of like, I need to like do things.
Yeah.
And I was compulsively doing things very early on.
Yeah.
Constantly. And I didn't have a carefree party time in my life ever.
Yeah.
That literally didn't happen.
Yeah.
And which it's not really something I regret. Although it is funny because a lot of my friends will be like, now I need to buckle down and work more. And I'm at the, I need to work less. I need to find ways to enjoy some of the things.
Yeah.
So it is a weird spot to be in, because the day after this is a special day.
Well, what's that?
When this episode airs.
Oh, it's going to be your Independence Day. Independence Day.
As I call it, Independent Day.
I call it Independence Day.
I'll take it. Because June 4th is the anniversary of when I stopped having a jobby job and started doing whatever the fuck it is that I do.
Yeah.
And making my living doing that. That'll be 11 years.
Damn. Can't believe that.
Yeah. I feel like I just got done celebrating 10.
Yeah.
And being like, holy crap, 10, holy crap, 10, holy crap, 10. And now 11.
11, yeah.
Which is exactly what all my friends said would happen.
And I mean, in that time, you also completed Babysitter Massacre 2, which was the bird hovering over you for a good bit.
So, I mean, we're really there.
Close. But I mean, principal photography is done.
Oh, yeah. No, it's, and that's cut and everything. So, no, it's, I guess it's a time of reflection. I'm glad that you want to hold yourself more accountable. You just definitely need to try not to beat up on yourself.
It's hard.
That's the hard one.
It's hard. I think it's hard because I feel like it really has to get through to me sometimes. And sometimes the only way it can is by the absolute like beat down to get it like and get me into submission, I guess is the best way to say it in that sense. And I think where it stems from most is just not wanting to fall back into those routines by far, but then also seeing a lot of people that I know and I'm friends with kind of having those issues that I did. And kind of like not wanting to reciprocate that. I don't know how to put it. Like, it's just like, I worry that sometimes bad habits of those around me can bleed onto me as well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
No, that's a very sincere issue.
Yeah.
You do have to kind of be careful how you spend your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess actually, I mean, the best thing I did in my 20s really and into my early 30s was I just got rid of the people that I noticed weren't very happy for me.
You have to. I mean, you have to. Because it just gets to a point where you are weighed down by that. And you may not even realize, like, one of the things that I've made myself recently as a rule for scrolling, actually, like for social media, is I don't look at comments. Like, I'm done looking at comments because sometimes I would literally go searching for comments that like were either of the negative, like if there's like a news article or something, which I don't even follow any of the news like places anymore, But if there's like a news article and I see what the topic is and I'm just like, oh, I'm sure people have something to say, I would go look for those comments.
And then maybe drop a little anger.
Not that much, not so much then. It was more so I would say not so much now. It was more so back.
I agree.
Yeah, that was a very big issue of just wanting to engage when it had no end game at all.
Sure. Well, and because I would usually my signal to try and help is I would just send you a little salty Dave is striking, because some days we're pissed.
Oh yeah, and I mean it was easy. That's the one thing I hate about just how things have become the way they have is it's become so easy to be vile online. It's become so easy to just completely be unpleasant and do it for the sake of just doing it. I mean, no shade to my roommate. He loves to rage bait.
He likes to troll.
He loves to troll and rage bait. Yes. So I see that stuff and I mean, I'm not surprised by him at all, but I see that stuff and I'm just like, oh yeah, I remember what that was like and how it was not fulfilling at all. Like,
no. It's a quick fix.
You have an idea that you're going to change somebody's mind. You're never going to change somebody's mind online.
No, you're hoping you make them kind of mad.
Yeah.
You're hoping that you'll be right.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, winning an argument or giving a different viewpoint that is going to lead somebody in a different direction is A, never going to happen, and B, you're either going to piss yourself off or if not other people in doing so.
Except that one guy on Instagram that I convinced they come at night was good.
Yeah.
That was the weirdest. It actually worked. He rethought it. He was like, maybe it wasn't that bad. I'm going to watch it again.
Well, it's like even
weirdest exchange.
Even go through in some of our shorts on your YouTube channel. It's just like I see some comments that A, you haven't engaged with and I haven't either. And it's just there's somewhere just like, what are you getting at?
Sometimes I get a kick out of engaging.
Yeah.
Like there was that guy who somebody commented something along the lines of like guy mustache pink glasses guy.
Oh my god, yeah, you've been getting several of those.
No, that was just one.
Well, I've seen two that were just specifically calling out I like your vibe was one of them.
I thought you meant that were negative.
Well, no. Then the
was
other
funny
one,
was those were the same day on different videos.
Yeah.
One person was like following this guy solely for vibes, and the other one was this guy
desperate for attention.
Is so like he's so desperate for attention, which was extra funny because first of all, I mean, a couple of points. Number one, those glasses are insane.
Yeah.
If I could design my own glasses, my pink glasses or magenta is what they really are, would not be that big.
Yeah.
I don't actually like glasses that huge.
Yeah.
But that was where I could get the color from.
Yeah.
But number two, no shit, I want attention. For fuck's sake. Why? What do you think birthed these microphones? You think these microphones just popped up and then these cameras just popped up? No.
Yeah.
I had to have a father that didn't love me in order to get all this stuff. Are you kidding? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean,
I did enjoy commenting to that guy. And all I said was, got attention from you. Works like a charm.
Yeah.
And I meant it too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't love when people are mean.
No.
But I mean, I lived through the IMDb message boards.
Yeah.
So with movies out.
I've gotten to that point of not seeing any real, I mean, like even on our local town page, like I used to thrive on there.
Oh, that's the worst place.
And that is a place I do not go anymore.
Well, that's the worst place because now you have people, I mean, what's the one thing that can gather people together that has nothing to do with who they are as people? Your geography.
Mm-hmm.
You're generally speaking, the people that live in your town are going to be of every opinion, every creed, everything.
Yeah.
So you can find a fight as quick as you want.
Oh yeah.
Or you can have what I had happen, which is somebody bought a bunch of rare movies off me on eBay, and then it turns out they live literally in the same town.
There you go.
Which was really funny. Yeah, he messaged me on Facebook, and he was like, "I think I just bought a bunch of movies from you." And I was like, I think I mailed them today. And he was like, "Oh, then I'll have them tomorrow." I was like, "Yeah, you're like down the block."
I was gonna say,
yeah. So don't leave a bad feedback because I'll just come and kill you. But no, but it's good, and I've noticed that you haven't been arguing with people and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it is hard. I don't really think that it's necessarily the easiest time to troll.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, most people not, on like the Facebooks and whatever have their real names to some extent.
Yeah.
The trolls really have to go out of their way now to be anonymous, as to where like in the days of IRC chats and message boards, boy,
you can get on there and be a fucking menace.
And you still can if you know where to look.
Yeah.
So, but no, I'm glad that you're feeling your 30s. I think it scares a lot of people.
Yeah.
Their 30s. I'm curious how I'm going to react to my 40s because I didn't have a big weird 30s moment.
Yeah.
Other than the day before my 30th birthday when I noticed the first really long gray hair.
Yeah.
On my head.
That would do that.
On my head.
I think honestly what it comes down to is you're going to go in the path that you choose to go into. If you want to hold on to things that have been either creating negativity or struggles and not taking the advantage of just trying to cut that stuff loose or even just change those habits, then you're going to get stuck that way.
Sure.
And I mean, that was basically what I had to tell myself. Was it was just like, no one's making you read these comments. No one's making you go after this stuff. No one's telling you to be the voice and the right in this sense.
The hardest realization in life is that no one's making you do much of anything.
No, and that you're not special. Like those are words that I live by now, because it's just like everybody who's ever had a problem thinks that their problem amounts to something different than anybody else. And you're not taking into account that this world is pretty fucking huge.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that we have a problem with accepting that there was a thing I read in a book that really like hit me hard, which was that we have to understand that grief is gaseous.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like a gas, and our hearts are like a big open chamber.
Yeah.
And it will fill it.
Yeah.
No matter any amount of grief will fill a heart. So while it is easy to be like, oh my God, like you know, oh my God, you have a flat tire and you're going to have to go, you know, you're gonna have to borrow money from your mom to pay for it. Well, my family was in the Holocaust.
Yeah.
You have to have some empathy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you absolutely do.
But it can be hard because sometimes people are dicks.
Yeah.
With their pain, and that's where it gets really hard.
Well, and I think that's also a very big struggle for me, is that I try to be somebody that is helpful to people and will give my time and whatever I can to help some people. And it's just like, I don't see as much of that as I guess I would be happy to see. I mean, that's...
You mean like on the open internet?
Yeah, I mean, like, and honestly out in general nowadays, because it just seems like there's, again, just kind of going back to that whole negative mindset of things. It's just like, if you look for the bad things, you're going to find the bad things. It's more so if you actually open your eyes up to see something good, that's kind of the challenge sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So
to appreciate things is hard.
Yeah, and I think that's where, you know, I've really had to strive, is just not focusing on the negative so much and looking at what is good. And also, it could always be worse. Like, that's been the big thing that I've really tried to keep in mind lately, is that it could always be worse. Like, even with those car troubles I had or the breakup and everything, it was just like, I have an apartment. Yeah, it's, you know, it's lonely now and I don't have the cats or anything like that, and I'm by myself. But then my roommate came, and like my roommate's been with me for a year now, and it's just like, there's always things that could be worse. And if you look at it from that standpoint, it helps make things a lot better when things actually do improve, because then you're not so dour and waiting for that to happen, and also can also make that happen for that matter.
Sure. Well, if you don't appreciate something, then it may as well not exist.
Yeah.
If you don't acknowledge something, then it may as well not exist.
Yeah.
It's a very, very easy trap to fall into.
Yeah.
Whether it's because you believe everything's fucked, or if it's that you believe you deserve so much more, or what have you. It gets hard.
It gets very hard. And I mean, it hasn't gotten easier in the last 5 years with COVID and all that stuff. I still stand by the fact that I think it fucked a lot of people up, and they still have not realized that they either need some kind of help or just need to cut some things loose.
I think a lot of people know that they're not quite as right as they used to be.
I would hope.
I
would hope.
I think it's a lot.
I would hope.
Because that was a mess.
Yeah.
And very hard on people, especially people who already had emotional issues.
Yeah.
To begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't tell you how many friends have told me that they drank too much. I ate too much. That was my go-to, was I was eating, and it wasn't good for me.
No.
Obviously. So the biggest thing is, you know, you really lean into that nobody's making you do much of anything.
No.
It's funny because I feel like that's the most popular opiate of the masses.
Yeah.
Is to believe that they're not your choices. Like, you have a job and you have a boss.
Yeah.
But how much do they force you to do in a day?
Yeah.
Not very much.
No. And I mean, in all honesty, like, where a lot of my issues were striving from, I would say in the last year, was not before the change of position. Because I mean, this is even kind of carried over to the change of position, but I was upset because I was being made to work at work. And I mean, that was like where I had to take a step back and be like, why are we upset that we're supposed to be doing the thing that we're getting paid for? Like, it was just that whole realization of, stop being such a little bitch about it and just do the job.
Yeah. Sometimes we get entitled to things because we're getting them. We think that we just deserve to always have them.
Yeah.
That's a really hard lesson.
Yeah.
That's one thing I appreciate about how I make a living. For all the complaints I could have, and I have plenty of them, I never feel entitled to anything financially, because everything I get through like direct work.
Yeah.
As opposed to like when you work in an office, you're however many, delineations from where the money actually comes from. You know, you don't really feel like you are earning money as a part of the machine.
Yeah.
That can be hard too. And a lot of people get like that.
And that is what leads to you treating yourself, is because you think every day just feels like the hustle to it. And then you're just like, oh, I need something to take the edge off. Well, when you're doing that every single day, that's a problem.
Well, and especially when you think that, just doing your job alone is enough bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a vicious cycle.
It is. And I've had my biggest problem in life has been that I've run into many people over the years who don't appreciate if I have a complaint, because they're like, oh, well, you get to do what you want every day. And I'm like, you don't even know what it means to do what you want every day.
Yeah.
It's not what you think it is.
No.
It's very different.
Oh yeah.
I'm not independently wealthy.
No.
I just do what I want.
Well, and also
for money.
I think a lot of people don't realize that when you are your own boss, that means that you have to be the one that makes the money come in. There's no schedule to it. It's basically how you get your work done on the timely manner, for that matter.
Well, it was like when I had that ear infection, and my mother was like, well, hopefully you'll get to like really rest and everything. Cause this was on Thursday after I'd been diagnosed and gotten my meds. And I was like, not now. And she was like, well, when will you finally do that? And I was like, Monday. And she was like, are you serious? And I was like, I already planned my weekend.
Yeah.
And if I don't do it, nobody does.
Yeah.
So, and I try.
Yeah.
I try to take care of myself. I try not to hustle and grind to death, but I do feel bad for people who just look at the things they have to do to maintain the life they literally want.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of people who realize they don't want it, but that's another problem too, because at some point you lost a little bit of your perspective.
Yeah. And I would say that also falls in line with the fact that I think some people want to be compensated for the things that they enjoy doing. But the problem is that you don't get that lucky.
Well, or you're not willing to do it for nothing for 15, 16 years.
That's the biggest thing. Is just like, I do podcasts. I don't get paid for these podcasts. I just do them because I enjoy doing them.
I know. I pay for this podcast.
I know.
Well, no, it's funny because the Weekly Spooky, which does do very, we're not the most successful podcast in the world, but it is definitely a profit earner.
Yeah.
That took 4 years before it broke even.
Yeah. And you never missed a day in those 4 years.
Still haven't.
Yeah. Still haven't.
Still haven't. And believe me, I'm like, but when am I going to break that? And then every time I'm like, maybe you don't.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's a great mentality. We'll see. We'll see how long that lasts. But no, so yeah, and then the grass is always greener is a big problem too.
Well, I mean, I think to sum all this up, I would say you are the one that dictates your future. I mean, you're the one that dictates basically how things go. It's all your actions. It's what you think in that moment and all that stuff. And if you do not take the second to take notice of what you have versus what you want and how to get it, then all you're going to do is keep wondering why I don't have these things and repeating the cycle. I mean, that is verbatim what one can do to piss themselves off more than anything is just completely stand still.
And then some people decide, well, the problem is capitalism or the Jews or some combination of those two.
I mean, people are going to name their problems, so they're going to name their problems.
Yeah, but they tend to be those two things a lot of the time, which is a bizarre turn of events. Yeah, I'll have to bring that up at the next Seder I attend. So
speaking of bizarre turn of events,
my a bizarre turn of events. So before we get to the film, real quick, we did just get back from seeing a movie that was friggin' awesome.
Yes, we did.
We just saw not best friends, Friendship.
Yeah,
I keep wanting to call it Best Friends.
Yeah,
Friendship.
Best Fiends, Best Friends.
Best Fiends. But this is a movie that kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and blew my mind pretty well.
Which shocks me because I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson is a show that you would love. And it shocks me that you haven't seen an episode of it yet. But like now that you've seen his humor, you know exactly what you're getting into. Because this movie was basically like a full-length feature episode of that.
Except it seemed to be lampooning him for being the way he is.
That's how he just completely is.
Well, I get that because is that a show or is it skits?
No, it's sketches on.
Okay, that's fine.
Like 15-minute episodes on Netflix.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah. I just meant like, I guess when you prolong it, then it becomes what that movie becomes. No, I'm curious to give it a watch.
It's fun.
I'm curious.
But yeah, Friendship, the IMDb synopsis says, a suburban dad falls hard for his charismatic new neighbor. That's all it says.
I mean, that is the long of the short of it. It's not a horror movie per se.
No.
but I get
there's elements, but I mean, I wouldn't even call it a dark comedy. Like
I would.
You would?
Oh yeah.
Okay, black comedy.
Sure.
Okay, it's a black comedy then.
No, it's I mean, the humor is about very dark parts of an individual person.
It is
very much, and about a weird amount of honesty.
Yeah.
A weird amount of honesty.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie opens, this is not a good spoiler. So the movie opens with this guy and his wife in a support group for survivors of cancer. And when I look back at it, because he just kind of makes a couple jokes. He's not like inappropriate or like overly whatever there.
He's just awkward.
But he's very awkward. But what I really gained from that as I watched the movie later on was most people gain perspective from something like that.
Yeah. He did not.
It seems like he didn't get a lot from it.
He did not.
And that's sad.
Yeah.
And scary in a way. So I don't know. I really did enjoy the movie, but it said some stuff about friendship that I thought was really interesting. So that I can't mention or would totally spoil the friggin' movie. But I thought it was great. I thought he and Paul Rudd were very good choices.
Yeah. Kate Mara, I was really happy to see back in action.
Yeah, she's phenomenal and everything. So, but yeah, definitely worth going to see. I hope I didn't check how it's doing in the theater.
I don't know if it has anything yet. Let me check.
I can check.
I'm on the page literally. Okay, so it doesn't have budget, but it's grossed about $8 million so far.
Probably costs around 15. So it's doing all right.
Yeah.
And it could get an upswing from good word of mouth, unlike MacGruber. And I wouldn't be surprised if it got a huge upswing from word of mouth.
Speaking of which, I have watched the first 2 episodes of the show on Peacock, and it completely like goes right into after the movie. So like the series starts with his wife singing a song about what happened in MacGruber, and then getting you caught up to speed on what's been going on. And then we are introduced to MacGruber getting out of prison. Billy Zane's the villain. It's really, really funny.
Okay, good.
So if you've not seen the series and you liked MacGruber, check out the series. It's been pretty good so far.
And I want to mention real quick before we jump into the film.
Yes.
In a shocking turn of events where there is a topic that one of the films that has touched me the most in the last decade or more has just hit Netflix.
Yes.
Pig, starring Nicolas Cage. And I just cannot recommend enough that people watch it. When it was on Hulu, I was always telling people to watch it. Well, now it's on Netflix. Watch it.
It's a 5-star film.
It's an excellent movie about what it is to be great at something, what it is to want to be great, what it is to experience greatness. There's a lot going on. It
covers a lot. It's one of Nicolas Cage's best films. It's one of his most loved films by himself. Like that's one of his like top 3 movies that he picks that he loves. And also the trailer is very deceiving. It is not Liam Neeson style Taken with a pig.
Yeah, it's not John Wick with a pig. No. It's very, very different.
Yeah.
But totally worth watching. But Dave, now that you are older and apparently gaining wisdom.
Wisdom indeed.
What would be your birthday wish?
My birthday wishes. God, that's a good question. Probably more than anything right now, it would be that I can get my car situation figured out this year successfully.
Okay, so the turn on that is you die in your car.
That's fair.
Yay! Because we're talking about a movie that I have always had a soft spot for since I rented it on tape.
I could see that.
At Blockbuster. Wishmaster.
From 1997.
And this is Dave's birthday pick.
Yes, it is.
Film.
Yes, it is.
And it had been a little while. I think I hadn't rewatched it since you and I watched it when the box set
came out. Yeah.
Weak script.
Oh yeah, no, it's not. It's not a great movie. It's not a good movie. It's a great movie.
It's as fun as it's as fun as a barrel of monkeys.
Yeah.
So give us the pertinent deets, Davey.
Wishmaster from 1997, 1 hour and 30 minutes. That's right, 90 minutes on the nose. Rated R for horror, violence, gore, and language.
Oh, WISHESZAAAA.
IMDb synopsis says a demonic djinn attempts to grant its owner 3 wishes, which will allow him to summon his brethren to Earth.
That's kind of true.
My synopsis: after a priceless statue is destroyed, an evil djinn is released and takes human forms, claiming lives and souls in an attempt to bring the end times unless a young woman can defeat him.
Wordy but accurate. Yeah, much better than the IMDb synopsis.
Taglines.
Oh, Lord.
If 3 wishes are granted, hell will be unleashed on Earth.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Be careful what you wish for.
obvious, but an oldie, but a goodie. I mean, if it works, it works.
Don't make a sound. Don't make a move. And above all else, don't make a wish.
I kind of like that one. I mean, that's like for the video store poster because it's really long.
Beg for your life. Pray for your soul. But whatever you do, don't make a wish.
That one's okay. Not quite as good as the last one.
Your next wish could be your last.
It's okay. That one's all right.
And finally, magically powered, supernaturally evil.
Okay. Magically delicious.
Wishmaster at this time, currently available on Prime, MovieSphere, Plex, Pluto, Roku, and Tubi.
It's everywhere you want to be.
Yes, it is. Our director on the film is Mr. Robert Kurtzman. He gets his start as director and writer on The Demolitionist in 1995.
Yeah. I always forget about The Demolitionist.
Goes on to both write and direct The Rage in 2007. He is the director on Wishmaster in 97, Buried Alive in 2007, Deadly Impact in 2010. He also gets a writer credit on the story from Dusk Till Dawn in 1996.
Yeah, he worked on that a bit.
Yep. And then buckle up because we've got special effects for him. He does special effects on TerrorVision 86, From Beyond, Predator, Deep Star 6, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Or no, Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Dream Child, sorry.
I was about to say, that's a little early.
Tremors, Bride of Reanimator, Jason Goes to Hell, Skinner, Little Nicky, Hulk, Buried, Late Phases, Secret Santa. Also does makeup for Night of the Creeps in 86, Evil Dead 2, The Hidden, Phantasm, Intruder, Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Halloween 5, Phantom of the Opera with Robert Englund, Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw 3, Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, Misery, Army of Darkness, Dr. Giggles, Maniac Cop 3, Badge of Silence, Body Bags, Pumpkinhead 2, Blood Wings, Pulp Fiction, From Dusk Till Dawn, Scream, Boogie Nights, Wishmaster in 97, John Carpenter's Vampires, A Simple Plan, previous episode.
Oh, yeah.
The Faculty, The Green Mile, Rat Race, Ghosts of Mars, Cabin Fever, Bad Boys 2, Hostel 3, John Dies at the End, Texas Chainsaw, Tusk, The Funhouse Massacre, Don't Kill It, Gerald's Game, Ma, and Dr. Sleep in 2019.
Oh. Now, did you say you worked on Phantasm, the first one?
He worked on, I want to say, Phantasm 2.
Oh, okay, at first I thought I heard just Phantasm. I was
see.
like, that seems a little surprising. I mean, it could be, though.
Where is it? Phantasm 2, yeah. Phantasm 2.
Okay, yeah.
Writer on the film is Peter Akins, or Atkins, depending on which credit you go with. It's Akins on IMDb. It's Atkins in the film.
That's interesting. Okay.
He is the writer on 1998's Hellbound Hellraiser 2, screenplay for.
Okay, that's a good screenplay.
Inside Out in 91, Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, Fist of North Star in 95, Hellraiser Bloodline, he gets character credits for Version of Science, Wishmaster in 97, Wishmaster 2, he gets credits for character, Wishmaster 3, Beyond Gates of Hell, Wishmaster 4, and Prisoners of the Sun.
Oh, okay. Prisoners of the Sun.
Yeah. Cinematographer is Jacques Haitkin. He gets his start on
I know that name.
Yeah, you do. 1972's ABC After School Special, goes on to shoot The Hitter in 78, Swap Meet, The Prize Fighter, The Private Eyes, Galaxy of Terror in 81.
Okay.
Then goes on to shoot The House Where Evil Dwells, Angel of Heat, Making the Grade, The Lost Empire in 84. And in 84, he also does a little film called A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Never heard of it. Indie flick?
Goes on to do My Demon Lover, The Hidden, Cherry 2000, To Die For, Shocker, Buried Alive. Yes, that one. The Ambulance, Strays, Mom and Dad Save the World, Maniac Cop 3, Badge of Silence.
Mom and Dad Save the World? I love that movie.
Relentless 3.
I don't love that movie.
I don't love that movie either. Scanner Cop in 94.
No shit.
Evolver in 95.
Poster right there.
Fist of North Star, Bloodsport 2, The Big Squeeze, Buried Alive 2, Wishmaster in 97, then does Inferno, Last Man on Earth, The Base of 99, Chaos Factor, Blowback, Faust, A Month of Sundays, Bad Karma, Global Effect, Face of Terror, 12 Days of Terror in 2004, the Jaws true story movie.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The Deal, Hidden a Camera, The Lost, and Forgotten in 2022. He also, in that time, does second unit on Break Into Electric Boogaloo, Herbie Fully Loaded, Talladega Nights, The Expendables, Fast 5, X-Men First Class, The Last Stand, Captain Phillips, TMNT, Out of the Shadows, Kong, Skull Island, Black Panther, Venom, and 21 Bridges. He left us in 2023, March 21st, at age 72 from Lou Gehrig's disease and leukemia. Man. But what a fucking resume.
Yeah, and his interviews in Never Sleep Again, very, very, he had a lot of really awesome insight into the making of Nightmare on Elm Street that I highly recommend watching that documentary, regardless of how long it is. It's worth every
It's not as long as Crystal Lake Memories, but it's long.
Well, there aren't as many movies.
That's fair, too. Andrew Divoff starts off our cast as he plays the Djinn and Nathaniel Demarest in this. He gets his start in 1986's Neon Maniacs.
I don't remember him in Neon Maniacs.
He's in Neon Maniacs.
I don't remember a lot about Neon Maniacs.
Yeah, that's fair. The A-Team, MacGyver, Mac and Me, The Hunt for Red October, Another 48 Hours, Graveyard Shift in 1990, Toy Soldiers, previous episode.
You kids!
Extreme Justice, future episode.
Yeah, we just revisited
Yes,
that the other day.
Dangerous Touch in 94.
He is in Dangerous
Yes, he is.
Oh, Divoff. I love me some Divoff.
Hong Kong 97 and 94, Low Down Dirty Shame in 94, Highlander TV series, Blast, Air Force One in 97, same year he does Wishmaster, then does Martial Law, Wishmaster 2, Faust, Walker Texas Ranger, Blue Hill Avenue, Jag, The Unit, The Rage, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Leverage, Criminal Minds, The Dead Matter, Nikita, The Strain, The Hatred, remember that movie?
Yes.
Yeah. Vault in 2018. Perry Mason revamp in 2020. Camp Pleasant Lake most recently in 2024. He's got 3 things coming out this year, too.
I met him so many times because he was promoting The Dead Place for a really long time.
Yeah.
So he was at a ton of events and conventions.
I could see that.
And super nice guy.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. And really interesting backstory.
Yeah.
Because I got curious after noticing that there was a consistent element to his career, which was that he was playing Hispanic roles.
Yeah.
I got curious because, one movie where he's playing a Hispanic role, you're like, they just were like, Divoff, do this. And he's like, okay. But 3, 4, 5 Hispanic roles in a row.
Yeah.
I started to wonder. So I looked into him a little bit, and he's from Venezuela originally.
That's what you're telling me. Yeah.
And in fact, spoke English very late in life and was not good at it. According to Wikipedia, which we know is completely and always accurate, he went to Spain to further study as a young man and became obsessed with learning languages and teaching English. And supposedly the voice we hear was him after years of working hard to get rid of a very thick accent that, according to this, which who knows if it's true or not, was holding him back even in school in the United States, that his accent was so thick.
Yeah.
Of course, he was born in 1955.
Okay.
So he's almost 70 now. So that was a very, very, very different time.
Yeah.
But it is very interesting that he came from that background. His father was Russian and his mother was from Venezuela. So I just thought that was worth mentioning because he does, especially in the 90s, he seems to play a ton of Hispanic roles, and he's very fair skinned.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very fair skinned. So it was kind of cool to find out, like, oh no, that makes sense. And that's why he speaks Spanish so, beautifully. And, but it is funny seeing very early in his career playing vatos and playing terrorists from Central America or South America, which I honestly am very fond of him playing those kinds of characters. But I am glad that, especially after Wishmaster, he really became one of the most in-demand character actors there was, and a celebrity in the realm of horror fans and stuff like that. Not as big as Robert Englund, of course, but everybody loves Divoff.
Yeah.
And when they see Divoff, everybody always thinks Wishmaster.
Well, I always forget he's in Air Force Air Force One because he's a henchman. So,
he was a great henchman.
Yeah,
he has that scary face.
Yeah. It does. So we also have Tammy Lauren, who plays Alexander Amberson in this. She gets her start in 1977 on Fantasy Island, goes on to be in Mork and Mindy, Out of the Blue, Quincy M.E., The Last Flight of Noah's Ark, which is an interesting title.
Okay.
Here's Boomer, Foul Play, Facts of Life, Little House on the Prairie, Chips, The Best of Times, MacGyver, Fresno, Stepford Children, 87, which I didn't even know that was a movie.
Oh, I've never seen it, but I heard about it. I think it was a TV movie spinoff.
That's what it looked like.
Stepford Wives.
Family Ties, Tiger Warsaw, I Saw What You Did and I Know Who You Are in 88, The Bronx Zoo, People Across the Lake, Desperate for Love, The Hitchhiker in 89, Homefront, Matlock, Diagnosis Murder, Grace Under Fire, Radioland Murders, Walker Texas Ranger, does Wishmaster in 97, followed by Mad City, The Visitor, Martial Law, Home Improvement, The Drew Carey Show, Crossing Jordan, The Young and the Restless, The Game, and Criminal Minds in 2014.
I want to say she was one of Jill's sisters.
That would make sense.
I think on Home Improvement.
She had 106 episodes of Young and the Restless and was only on it for 2 years.
I mean, that checks out. They do like 4 or 5 episodes a week. I used to watch Guiding Light with my Aunt Betty, and
I was an All My Children and General Hospital fan with my mom. couldn't tell you a single character on any of those shows.
Well, I mainly just remembered the music and the spinning light on Guiding Light.
Obviously.
So
wrapping up our cast, but there is a lot of cast in this movie. But we also have Robert Englund, who plays Raymond Beaumont in the film. He gets his start in 1974's Buster and Billy, goes on to be in Stay Hungry in 76, Eaten Alive, A Star is Born, Dead and Buried in 81, Galaxy of Terror, V, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, Never Too Young to Die, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors.
Oh, he came back for that one.
Nightmare
Nice.
on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. 88 does, or 89 does Phantom of the Opera, one of my favorite versions. Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Dream Child, Freddy's Nightmares, The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, Freddy's Dead, The Nightmare Cafe, Dance Macabre, Night Terrors, New Nightmare in 94, The Mangler, Walker, Texas Ranger, Married with Children, Wishmaster in 97, does Urban Legend the following year in 98, then Strangeland, Python, Freddy vs. Jason, 2001 Maniacs, Hatchet, Jack Brooks Monster Slayer, Red, Zombie Strippers, Fear Clinic, Supernatural, Workaholics, Fear Clinic the Film, The Funhouse Massacre, Regular Show, The Goldberg, Stranger Things, Natty Knox, and most recently in 2024, Curses.
Well, obviously everybody knows Robert Englund for playing Freddy Krueger. I will say one of my first thoughts the first time I saw Wishmaster, which would have been in like 2000, somewhere in that neighborhood, was that the film was basically cast at like Fangoria Weekend of Horrors.
I mean, we've got Reggie Bannister, we got Tony Todd, we've got Kane Hodder, we've got Buck Flower.
I mean, the hits just keep on coming.
Ted Raimi, Danny Hicks.
Honestly, the only person I'm shocked we didn't get in there was Bruce Campbell. I'm surprised he wasn't in like one scene.
No kidding, though.
Because he could have easily fit somewhere in there, but he may have been too expensive at that point. Because
Army of Darkness would have been out, so yeah.
But Army of Darkness was a flop, if I remember correctly.
Well, Mom and Pop, made Mom and Pop Company made it.
Oh yeah, the Universal. Who said that? That was so silly.
One of our friends.
Oh yeah, I remember now. I remember.
I'm not going to shame him.
But no. But I was surprised. But I think he might have been on like Briscoe County Jr. or something. At that
would
point, so
probably
he might not have been available.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is also around the same time he does that In the Line of Duty movies, that series I watched.
Oh yeah.
He also does that one called Blaze of Glory, which is him and Lori Loughlin as robbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, it's got a really fun cast. It's definitely a horror movie fans movie because you get all of those. You get, like Reggie Bannister popping up was such a delight.
Yeah.
Even back then when I was a kid, I was just like, hell yeah. Actually, I was like, hell yeah, Reggie. Because I think by 2000, I'd already met Reggie at a convention.
I could see that.
I met him before I saw Phantasm.
Yeah.
Like, because I was a little too young.
I never got to meet him, but one of my favorite movies that's not Phantasm of his is Cemetery Gates. I think Cemetery Gates is a blast.
Yeah, and he's extremely underrated. But he was. I'm so sad that his health has declined so much. He was just such a nice dude.
Yeah,
really friendly and outgoing. Also shocked Bill Moseley didn't pop up in this. I feel like
I feel like about that time.
I feel like if Campbell had popped up, if Moseley had popped up, if
Lou Diamond Phillips.
I wish Lynn Shay. I'm surprised she wasn't just someone there in there because she was at that point. She was still kind of just popping up here and there.
Yeah,
but I'm shocked she didn't pop up somehow. But we do get just an incredible
Brad Dourif.
Dourif, I bet was just too busy.
Yeah,
I mean, well, and a lot of those guys were very.
They were
busy.
probably shooting actually Bride of Chucky around the same time. Now that I think about it.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a wild thought because Bride of Chucky was so trailblazing.
Mm-hmm.
This movie feels like it's 5 years before Bride of Chucky, and it's like a year before because it is a little on the. It's weird, like. It feels like it was made in 1990.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't feel like an 80s throwback. It feels newer than that, but it doesn't feel as cutting edge as like what they were doing with Bride of Chucky, which felt like it was from like 3 or 4 years after it was made, at least to my opinion. But it's still a very fun ride. My biggest complaint, and we'll get to laugh about it a ton, is that the rules of the Wishmaster don't really make a lot of sense.
They don't. So what was your first time watching Wishmaster?
It was definitely renting it on tape. I want to say I did see it before the Boogeyman compilation or Boogeymen compilation.
Yeah.
I had rented it on tape because it was considered just like a quintessential, you have to see it. And they had the tape at one of it was either Blockbuster or the Hollywood Video, which was basically next door to my Blockbuster.
Yeah.
One of those had it. I had to wait until they did I think they did a 1 and 2 DVD set.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was when I finally saw 2.
Yeah.
Because that came to Blockbuster and then I rented, or I might have even bought it. So I hadn't seen the sequels. It took a while hunting those down.
Yeah.
But they're fun as hell. Divoff steals the show in every scene he's in.
Mm-hmm.
He's great. I think that in many ways, Wishmaster 2 is even more fun because they just were like, all right, Divoff, now just do whatever.
Just do what you want.
Like we pre-sold
We're going to
this
put you in prison half the movie. Have fun.
We pre-sold this to all the territories to make enough money. So like, just go crazy.
Yeah. My first time watching it was due to Boogeyman. I had gotten that compilation because I'll be honest, I'd seen the cover and it always struck me as a vampire movie because it looks like he's got the fangs on it and everything.
Okay.
Because if you always see that cover, it just spoke vampire to me, which I probably would have seen it at some point had that, not been it. But yeah, I saw the Boogeyman compilation, which for those who aren't familiar with the Boogeyman compilation, it came out in the early 2000s. It was a showcase of Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Chucky, Leatherface, like all those guys.
It had even had
Puppet Master.
Yeah, Puppet Master.
It had the Unnameable on it, which was such a weird movie.
Yeah.
No, that's the Ugly. The Ugly is what I'm thinking of.
Oh, really?
Because it has the Ugly and it has the Guardian, because you've got that whole scene with Miguel Ferrer chopping that gory ass tree up.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
So I'd seen seen that clip, and then immediately went to YouTube, watched the climax at the party, like the huge like party going crazy scene and everything. And I was like, I've got to see this movie. So luckily tracked down a copy at I think it was Half Price Books on one of my goes there. And I watched it and immediately was just like, this movie was made for me. Like it spoke to me. And the reason that I chose it for my birthday movie is this is one of my all-time favorite horror movies that I can basically show anyone. Because there's something in it for anybody. Even if they're not a huge gore fanatic, there's still a lot of fun to be had in this movie. And it was one that I actually recently got to show to our mutual friend Courtney, and we ended up watching 2 immediately after it because she had such a good time with it. And that kind of made me remember how much fun this movie is.
Oh, it's a total blast.
Yeah.
Any picking on it I do is simply because
out of love.
Well, yeah, and just it is comical how much more interested the movie is in being wild than it is in making sense from a story standpoint. Because the big problem is that he's like, I have these limitations. Someone has to wish, but then it'll be like somebody will just go like, yeah, I'd like a cup of coffee. He's like, wish granted. It's like, that's not
how it works.
Yeah, but then it'll be like, oh, a cup of coffee. Like, your wish is granted. They're on fire. It's like, that's the twist. They get a little fast and loose with twisting the wishes pretty early on.
Yeah, no, they absolutely do.
Because we've all seen the monkey's paw. We all understand the whole be careful what you wish for, and you just might get it.
Yeah.
But with Wishmaster, I mean, we like to make the joke that's like, I wish for a sandwich, and it's just 2 slices of bread with like a butcher knife between it. And it's like, this isn't a sandwich. Take a bite. It's like, this isn't a big twist, and they get but by 3 and 4.
Oh, it's out the window.
It's
out the window.
It makes it so fun.
I mean, the one thing that I will say about, I think why why people have a hesitation with it, if there is any, is I think people think like an evil genie. It's just like, well, that doesn't sound that exciting, but like it is. You have to suspend, like they said, the Robin Williams and the Barbara Eden. It's just like, this is an evil being that can do basically whatever the hell it wants within reason.
Within reason. Well, and the whole concept of the Djinn is where the concept of a genie came from.
Yeah,
it's an old concept from the Arab world, and generally they were mischievous creatures who would fuck shit up. And boy, does he.
He does indeed. So we open as we see this gem being made. This is an opal. Yeah, ruby opal. And we hear the voice of Mr. Angus Scrim read the narration, which says, once in a lifetime before time, God breathed life into the universe, and light gave birth to angels. And the earth gave birth to man, and the fire gave birth to the Djinn, creatures condemned to dwell in the void between the worlds. One who wakes a Djinn will be given 3 wishes. Upon the granting of the 3rd, the unholy legions of the Djinn will be freed to rule the earth. Fear one thing in all of this. Fear the Djinn.
It's a solid. I mean, Angus Scrim had the greatest voice.
Yeah. For those who aren't aware, that's the tall man from Phantasm.
Yeah. And another guy that's horror royalty.
Yeah.
Straight out of Fangoria Weekend of Horrors and Here For You Now.
So we waste no time at all getting to the carnage, as we are in 1127 Persia, and we are watching an emperor go through this lobby of people as we hear a voice say, your wish is granted. And then we see chaos going.
He was a wizard.
Yeah.
Because the emperor is the guy hiding in the back room.
Yeah.
And apparently the wish was that this party would be remembered forever.
I guess.
And that allows the Djinn to just have people's like stomachs tearing open and creatures crawling out of them.
People, one guy has his skeleton come out of his body.
And start killing people.
Yeah,
skeletons
noms on somebody.
Well, and the best part is, the best parts of this movie are that K and B effects are just
everywhere.
Out of hand. They're allowed to do almost whatever they want.
Yeah.
So this party is just unthinkable horror and terror. But it is funny when you look at it and go, so these are all because of a wish.
A wish. Yeah.
Like he really runs with it. Like, it would be just as easy to be like, I want this party to be forever remembered. Okay, everybody turned to a pillar of salt.
Yeah.
That would be memorable.
That'd be memorable, yeah.
But having a skeleton crawl out of a guy's body
Yeah.
in gruesome detail and start killing other people, that's pretty fun
Pretty
too.
good too, yeah. So the wizard is trying to get to the emperor, and by this point he's crossing everybody that is like trying to ask for help, screaming, their flesh is coming out, all that stuff. And one of which is actually a man that's basically a half snake at this point.
Yeah. He's basically like about the 55-minute mark, and
Yeah. And he's like, you must stop the madness. So
solid.
he gets into the chamber where the Djinn is, and he's telling the emperor that he must stop, that this creature is evil. And by this point too, we also see that the Djinn is in full effect also in this room, because we see the spirit realm is kind of opening up, because he's getting ready to make his third and final wish. And once he does that, the Djinn will be free, hell will be released on earth. So that's when the wizard presents this opal and says these magic words and traps the Djinn inside of it.
Yes. And it's an awesome scene.
Yeah.
Talk about hooking you by just showing you just unmitigated, violent,
So
bloody
much.
special effects nonstop.
Yeah, and it's not going to get it. Basically, once that tone is set, that tone basically keeps most of the movie. Like, this is a gruesome fucking movie.
It is. It's a wacky flick. It's got a lot of wild things going on. And now we go to present day
America.
And I want to say, after years of being a fan of this film, I never really realized the true villain is
Capitalism.
Oh, I was going to say union dock workers.
I mean, there's that too. Yeah.
Because if the union dock workers were not lollygagging and being drunk on the job, none of what we're about to describe would happen.
So we see Raymond Beaumont, played by the great Robert Englund, and he is supervising as workers are lowering a box of the sculpture that he's bought. And we also have his assistant, Ted Raimi, who is yelling at the guy running the crane.
Yeah, being Dick in only a way Ted Raimi can be.
Yeah.
And of course, Danny Hicks is the custom enforcement agent standing next to him, which you couldn't clock him because he was clean shaven.
Yeah.
He was clean cut and he had sunglasses on.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like you were going to spot him right away.
So the crane operator we see is Mickey Sorelli, and he is drunk on the job.
And he's Joe Pilato from Day of the Dead. See what I'm saying about this like Fangoria Weekend of Horror style casting?
Yeah. So he is drunk on the job. He's pouring whiskey into his coffee, and Ted Raimi's still shouting at him. The guy ends up knocking the coffee onto the panel, fries the panel, drops the crate right on Ted Raimi, killing him and breaking the statue into 1,000 pieces.
And revealing that there's a gem inside the statue, not as a part of the statue, but inside of it.
Hidden inside.
And of course, yet another terrible union dock worker
goes up and steals the fire opal.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're fair. So then we immediately cut over to a Regal, Regal Auctioneers, and we see that a guy is bringing the gem in, and he basically says the dock worker came to him, he runs a pawn shop, and that he gave him some money, but he figured that there was something else worthwhile with it, that they wanted to get it appraised. And immediately the guy that runs the place, which is Nick, is very happy that he brought this opal in.
Oh, he's thrilled. He's like, we'll write you a receipt right now and get it appraised.
Yeah.
You know? Because it's a gigantic, I mean, it's like about the size of the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
A piece of pure red opal, which could be worth a fortune. Of course, he asks, do you know where it came from? Do you have any history? He's like, the guy said he got it from his grandma. And he was like, we get a lot of those.
Yeah, we heard that one before.
Yeah, we heard that one.
Yeah, Nick Merritt is the guy's name, and that is when he is instructing his appraiser, Alexandra, to examine it, and she looks inside of it, does not see any flaws of it or anything like that, until she ends up having is it a premonition at this point?
It's something like that.
Yeah, because the wind blows to the office, and that we hear the initial word of the Djinn, because as she's rubbing it, we kind of get the sensation it's like, is it going to be like a lamp where if she rubs it, the Djinn comes out? No,
not quite.
But it's warming the opal up,
right? And wasn't it right before this we met her and her best friend?
Yeah, her and Jason.
Simple scene. They're playing tennis, and afterward they're talking about being best friends, and Jim is like, why don't we be more than friends? How about I take you on a proper date?
Josh.
Yes. And she's like, oh no, I just want to be friends.
You're my friend. I don't want to ruin that.
Yeah. And so now she's at this place, but of course, with this gem appearing to be weird, she takes it to Jim.
Yeah.
Josh. She takes it to Jimosh. She takes it to him. It turns out he's a kind of
he's a student at a university, and it's because she's a gemologist, and he's something along the lines of being able to run tests on it. So I don't know what exactly.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not a gemologist, but I can run it through the machines and whatever. So, but unfortunately, him tinkering with it causes the gem to open.
Yep.
The Djinn arises, and poor Josh is hurt by the explosion.
Yeah, the explosion injures him, and by this point, he's on the ground. He's burned, and we also see a young Vern Troyer, mini-me himself.
You could tell because he was so small how young he was.
Yeah, exactly. Crawling towards him in full Djinn gross.
Crazy makeup.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So slimy, so gross. And we also hear Divoff's voice basically asking him, is the pain too much? You want me to take it away? And as he does, he claims his life and basically comes anew into a body.
Yeah, he causes him to die. Because that's his big thing is like, do you wish this pain to stop?
Yeah.
Kills you.
Yep.
Ooh, what a twist, But it's an excellent starting scene because you see this little baby creature Djinn thing creeping you out. And then it turns into Divoff in the full Djinn getup.
Yeah.
We don't get full-blown Divoff being the Djinn for a few more scenes.
No, not for a few scenes because he's got to get his face. But before we get to there, Alex ends up she's on the phone after a basketball practice because we forgot to mention that she's a basketball coach, which doesn't really amount to
for
much.
like high school girls.
For high school girls. And she goes to call Josh to check up on the status, and she immediately has a pain. When Josh is dying, she's feeling it. And that becomes a thing throughout the movie. Anytime the Djinn goes to claim his souls or anytime he's committing fuckery, she's feeling it.
Because she was the original wisher.
Yeah.
The original person who summoned him.
Yeah.
So he's beholden to her, and it's caused a kind of psychic connection. So anytime he does anything heinous, she gets an episode.
Yeah. So by this point now, she's been informed of Josh's death. She goes back to his research place, and the cops are like, no, I'm sorry, he passed. And that's when she's like, well, what happened to the gem? And they're like, well, we've got to, run some tests on it. But other than that, we don't really know much.
Yeah. And she's positive something is inside the gem.
Yeah.
Which I forgot to mention would be really bizarre because getting something inside a gem while it being a perfect piece.
Yeah.
Basically impossible.
Be pretty impossible. So that's when she decides to track down Raymond Beaumont, and she goes to visit him at his home. And that is when she talks to him, and we immediately get the sense that Beaumont is an aristocrat type. He's walking around his house smoking. He's enjoying himself.
Oh, yeah. He has a house. His home is a museum.
It's a fucking mansion, too.
Of all the collector's items. It'd be funny if it was just like a loft
just
in
a
Soho.
loft, yeah.
He's just like, come in, please wipe your feet.
Because the first instance we get of how he is as a person. So when Ted Raimi got crushed by that crate, all they cut to is Beaumont, and he's just going...
Because the statue got destroyed, and it was very, very rare.
So the first thing she asked him is like, so how are you doing? And he's like, oh, it was irreplaceable. And she's like, well, you're talking about the death of your assistant, right? And he's like, oh, yes,
of course. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's when she starts asking him about the questions of it. He takes her into this room to show her where he had this little altar made for it, where the Ahura Mazda was going to be on this little podium that is now empty.
And I want to know how you'd fit a whole car on that thing. No Mazda's fitting on
this
there.
is going to date me really, really easily, but it reminds me of there's an episode of Fairly Odd Parents where the dad, throughout the entire series, has a ongoing feud with his neighbor Dinkelberg.
Yeah.
And there's one point where he was supposed to get this trophy for perfect attendance or something like that, and he has a podium and everything set up for it, and there's a huge joke where he's like, and here's where I would put a trophy if I had one.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what it reminds me of every time I see it.
Yeah, well, and so she asks him, was the statue bejeweled?
Yeah.
To which he says no.
No, it wasn't. It was, it was completely modernized, or not modernized, but it was completely original. It was just stone. There was nothing special about it. It was just very rare that it actually escaped.
It was
Persia.
from about 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And we find out that then tells her then how it must have been buried inside of it.
So we cut away from them and go back to the Djinn, who is now approaching the same university that Josh was at, except he goes to the School of Medical, or the School of,
mortuary science.
Yeah, mortuary science. Yeah, thank you. And he's walking through the halls. He goes into one of the rooms where the cadavers are, and he's getting ready to pick a face, which just so happens to be Andrew Divoff.
Yeah, I guess he had been in a horrible skiing accident.
So he is getting ready to carve up the face of Divoff, and that's when one of the assistants walks in, and he's like, hey, who the fuck are you? What are you doing here? And then he sees that he's chopping his face off, and he's like, oh, God. And he's like, I guess you don't want to see this.
You wish you didn't have to see this.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, and he's like, granted, and turns his eyes sealed, basically.
His eyes are just sealed shut.
Yeah,
he has no eyes or something, but there's skin all stretched and weird over his eyes.
And while that's happening, Divoff chops the rest of the face off, puts it onto him, and now the Wishmaster has Demarest's face, which is Divoff's face, and Alexandra is freaking out in front of Beaumont because she's seeing him smiling weirdly into the camera.
and I have to say, when Divoff is the Wishmaster, they had him wear these really overly blue, not natural looking contact lenses. but I actually think they work really well for the Wishmaster because he's supposed to be a human, but when you look at his eyes, you don't quite fully get human from his eyes. So I actually think that works awesome.
Yeah. So now she knows that something is going on. So she goes to find a woman named Wendy Durlith, who is a folklore professor at the university.
And she's quite a mouthy lady.
She's
hilarious,
yeah,
honestly.
She's watching, there's a drama production mixed with the folklore department that are putting on this play, and she's just there until the one professor gets there because she's trying to get a word in with Alex, and Alex is just like, well, I can't talk to you until your full attention's here. She's like, well, I like you.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I like that.
So she basically tells her that, you know, forget everything you know about like Genie and Barbara Eden. Like a Djinn is an evil presence. Like it grants wishes, but it also will take exchange of souls, and it's a demonic presence.
Yet she says, forget Barbara Eden, forget Robin Williams. But after watching all 4 of the Wishmaster movies, it's still true. You ain't never had a friend like him.
You ain't never had a friend like him, indeed. Which I wonder if he was going to say that at one point. And they're like, "We're not getting sued by Disney.
We're not interested in that lawsuit."
So she decides that she's going to learn more about this, and we go back to her apartment, and she is sitting down smoking a cigarette. Her sister comes in, and we find out that her sister was a survivor of a fire that Alex saved her from.
Right.
And didn't get to save her parents, though. And so, like, her sister's kind of worried because Alex is definitely off because she's feeling these premonitions of the Djinn and everything going on. But she ends up studying the Djinn a little bit more and figuring out more about it. And then her sister comes home and is just like, hey, it's time for basketball practice.
The most white girl studying
with
the
wine,
Djinn ever, with
cigarettes,
a bottle of white wine, cigarettes, an uneaten sandwich,
and books all over the table.
Just all over, maggoty with all these research books, which I just, the fact that they show her like get up and go and get a bottle of white wine, I was like, fucking A.
So we also cut over to the nighttime city at this point because now we get to see Mr. Buckflower as a homeless guy who is hanging outside of a convenience or a pharmacy owned by the great Reggie Bannister.
And Buckflower, by the way, quite possibly one of the greatest homeless character actors of all time. I wonder how many times he's played homeless.
Oh, I would bet a good amount.
I'm gonna find out.
Most famous for his character in They Live.
Well, and for being the homeless guy
in Back to the Future.
Back to the Future 1 and 2, I believe.
2, yeah. But yeah, so she goes to we cut over to Buckflower, and him and Reggie Bannister get into it because Buckflower's trying to get $1 from somebody out front. He comes out and he's like, you know, hey, get out of here. And he's like, hey, you're running a business in here. You got customers there. It's not really a good idea. They get into a little bit of a squall to the point where basically Buckflower tells him to go fuck himself. He says it right back to him. Then he walks down the alley, and guess who's sitting right there but Mr. Djinn himself. Mm-hmm. And the Djinn is like, you know, do you mean those curses that you said to him? And he's like, oh, yeah, I mean them. And he's like, well, what would you give to see those happen? And he's like, well, I got a cigarette and a handshake. And he's like, no, you have your soul. And he's like, yeah, I guess I could give that. And he's like, well, what death would you wish? And he's like, he should get cancer. Should get cancer and die. And inside the store, we see Reggie Bannister start to freak out. He completely shrivels up. He foams at the mouth. His face starts pussing, and he dies in front of all his pharmacy customers.
And it is
heinous.
Nasty and gruesome.
And at the moment that Buckflower sees this, he drops a cigarette, goes running off, and that's when the Djinn picks up a cigarette and smokes it, and goes basically tell him, yeah, go ahead and run and tell them that evil is here, but it's too late now.
I'm trying to find out how many times Buckflower has played a homeless guy.
Yeah.
It looks like it's
staggering.
Yeah,
I can see that. I think like one of the last things that I remember you and I watched him in that was a first time watch of both of us was cheerleader camp.
Oh yeah.
He was that janitor guy.
He's quasi homeless in that.
Yeah. So by this point now, Alex is at basketball practice, and we also see that not only is she there, but the Djinn is there as well.
40 times.
40 times.
It's estimated he played a drunk, homeless man, or vagrant approximately 40 times. Most famously, Back to the Future, They Live, Wishmaster, Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue episode, The Great Egg Caper.
Don't remember that one.
There's a YouTube video called How One Man Played a Homeless Guy in Hollywood for Years. And I've heard that he was like the nicest dude. I also heard that some of the movies, like the indie stuff he did, he might have produced them.
Oh, no shit.
Well. So that's something I'd always heard.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, Buckflower, truly a legend of this industry.
Yeah. So Alex is at the game. She's coaching her girls. Her sister is also there, and she's trying to get a hold of Wendy because Wendy hasn't got back to her yet. So she uses her sister's cell phone to call Wendy, doesn't pick up, and then that's when behind her sister appears Divoff. And he requests to use her phone. So she takes the phone, realizes who she called, and that's when he is out. And Alexander looks over to see him for a brief second, and then he's gone.
Sorry to keep on Buck Flower, but 167 credits.
Damn.
And as producer, 9.
That's awesome.
You know what? Oh my God. He produced the Bikini Car Wash Company.
No shit.
Which I just got the Blu-ray set for that. He produced mostly softcore movies.
Yeah.
Teenage Seductress, Up Yours, In Search of a Golden Sky, The Night Stalker, Taking It All Off, Party Favors, Bikini Car Wash Company, Hell's Bells, and Taking It Off Out West.
There we go.
So just a little side note for everybody. But yeah, so Divoff is borrowing a cell phone, which...
Yep. He gets Wendy's name and he appears right outside her house or her apartment, I guess, because that's what they show a little later on.
Yeah.
So he appears at night. We cut to day, and now he's inside just looking around. And one of the coolest shots ever, because by this point, wait, am I getting ahead of myself? Has the police things happened by this point too?
Yes.
I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, there's so much
going on. So we cut
once.
over to a police station because he is trying to get Alexandra's name, specifically her address, to track her down. And that is when he is at the police station and he's trying to talk to the cop. And the cop looks over at a perp and he's just like, you know what I would love? I would love to catch this guy completely, dead to rights with the gun in his hand. Murder one. All of us as witnesses. And Divoff's like, granted. And this guy suddenly comes alive, grabs a gun off a cop, starts a firefight inside the station, shooting a bunch of cops. 4 of them get on top of him on the desk trying to wrestle the gun away. And that's when Divoff gets the card. The guy is looking back over. The cop is now and notices Divoff. So Divoff winks at the guy or like throws eyebrows at him.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly the guy comes back full power, throws 3 guys.
Jaw.
Yeah, throws 3 guys off and rips a cop's jaw completely off.
Right off of him.
Right off in close up, and naturally he gets lit the fuck up by all the cops in the station at this point.
Which again, the idea was to catch him dead to rights, as in, arrest him. But,
Yeah.
But the Wishmaster plays fast and loose. Oh, we forgot about the woman at the clothing store. There's so many things.
Yeah. So yeah, he's gotten a suit by this point as well, and he's trying on the suit at the store. This nice woman is like, it looks good on you. Do you want to go for a bigger size? And he's like, no, I'm not used to confinement.
Or a tighter size.
Yeah, tighter
he's
size.
like, I've had enough confinement.
Yeah.
He basically asks her, like, aren't you worried your beauty will fade? And she kind of eventually goes, yeah. And what's funny about this movie is he always has this like psychological, almost like Hannibal Lecter
approach
kind of thing,
Yeah.
except it seems like nobody buys it.
No.
Like, but then it's like a thing snaps and then all of a sudden they go, yes,
Yeah.
I do buy it. So he says, I could make your, just say you wish your beauty would last forever. She says it. And then as he walks away, they reveal a mannequin of her standing there. And
I love the reveal because a woman like is ready to check out and they just pan over to the counter and it's just her in full attire as before, but now she's a mannequin with a name tag.
Yep. And hopefully someone will take that necklace off and we'll have a wild and zany
There we
adventure.
go. But to make it even more gruesome, the eyes roll in the back of her head as she's a mannequin. And then we'll also get to the other thing that we forgot about, which is he goes to visit Alex's boss at the
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's a slasher movie. So he's killing a lot of people. But the thing that I love about this movie is that most of the twists are not much of a twist.
Not much.
He wishes for $1 million.
Yeah, Nick has a like a little piece on his desk, and he's like, hey, be careful with that. And he's like, would you like to make it more valuable? And he's like, would I like to make it more valuable? Of course. And Divoff just runs his hand over it, and now it's solid gold with diamonds in the top of it, which he pours out.
Right. But then when he says he wishes for $1 million, it cuts to this old woman filling out her son's name, which is him, on her beneficiary, getting in an airplane, and the plane explodes.
Just explodes. Yeah.
So
that'd be my son, Nick. He owns an auctioneer house, $1 million.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I have so much to live for.
And then the plane explodes. So yeah, now we've all caught up with the deaths. So yeah, Alex goes to visit Wendy at her place, and Wendy is there, and she's talking with her, and she's like, well, can I get you a drink? Is it cold in here? Would you like something to eat?
Super weird.
Asking super weird. And she also basically says, oh, don't worry about Djinn's. Like, you have such 21st knowledge now that you don't have to worry about little things like that. So completely disregarding everything she said the previous time.
Yeah, and saying like, oh, well, how would we even deal with that? This is a whole other time.
Because Alex is looking for some kind of spell or something to throw at the Djinn so that they can defeat it. And that's when she goes to leave because she's not getting anything from Wendy. And that's when Divoff's voice comes out and he tells her to sit back down, revealing that Divoff is there. And she's like, oh my God, it's you. And we see that he has killed Wendy. He took her face. That's how he was disguising himself. And that's when he's like, we've got to get on with these wishes. And she's like, I'm not going to do them. And she's like, okay, well, I'll do one, what if I wish to kill you? And he's like, oh, that's so original.
Oh, but then she says, I wish you'd blow your brains out.
He even offers it to her as a free wish.
Right.
So a free wish, and it's, I wish you would blow your brains out. And he's like, very well, puts a gun under his chin, pulls the trigger. We see his brains blow out of his head and then completely reform again. And he goes, that is, which is eternal, cannot die. But if it's any consolation, Alex, that hurt like hell.
And his voice is so iconic.
So then her next wish is that she wants to learn more about him. She wants to see where he comes from. And that's when we go to the set of what is a Primus video, if not the lost scenes from Hellraiser that we never got.
Yeah, she wants to see who he really is. So he shows her this Djinn hell place.
So this huge red place, there's black things all around. We see that everybody who has submitted their soul to him at this point is being tortured. We see the one guy with his chest open. We see the one woman getting whipped. We also see that the blind guy, for some reason, was put in an insane asylum, which you pointed out.
Yeah, he was put. It's like, oh, my eyes are gone. Sure, buddy. But it's like he had eyes before.
Yeah.
But yeah, for some reason, he looks like he's in an insane asylum.
Because there's a whole montage that we skipped over where the Djinn is sitting in Wendy's apartment. He has the gem broken up, and then as he puts his fist around it, makes it whole. He's completely the Djinn now, and he claims all those souls. So she's seeing all the souls that have been claimed. He also has a Hellraiser dog at one point that chases after her. And one of my favorite things that you pointed out is there's a scene where he's walking down this corridor of this place, and he looks like a fucking Melvin, the way that he's holding his hands.
Yeah, well, because the bodysuit he has makes him look kind of funny. Yeah.
So she wishes to be free. So now that is 2 wishes now that she has used, and she gets out and immediately is trying to figure out, what is the next move. And she wants to make sure that her sister is okay because the Djinn actually made a comment on her sister as well.
I mean, you have to go after, who they care about, of course.
So he threatens her sister Shannon, and Alex hurries out of the Djinn's realm back to her apartment. The phone rings, and the Djinn, I can't remember, what does he say to her on the phone? Something along the lines of, I can't remember, but she basically says, fuck you back to him.
Yeah, and slams the phone down.
Sees that the note is on the table that her sister went ahead and went to Beaumont's party because Beaumont was having a big party as a celebration for the statue, but now it's just a party.
And see, this is the problem, Dave. We forgot Kane Hodder's death because we're moving so fast. Kane Hodder is a security guard, and he basically it's one of the funnier moments of the whole film. He says, "I wish you'd go away," and he's like, "No." He's like turning around. He can't help it.
Turned around, and he's like, "Well, you have to get through me, and I'd just love to see you try that. Love to see you try
that.
Not
I wish you try,
wish.
but so then he turns him into the
door. Basically, the door encapsulates Kane Hodder, and he just walks right through him, and then Kane Hodder explodes.
For a reason. A lot of the things just explode. And I love that that's the moment where the Wishmaster says, do you know what it's like to have infinite power but not be able to use it?
Yeah.
Which I always wish Kane Hodder's character would go, yes, I do. Now go away.
Now go away.
That's what I would do if I was dealing with a crazy person. But he says that, but then it's really funny because anytime somebody wishes something, he's like, okay, well, I'll just do whatever I want. Yeah. And that's because you wished for whatever.
Yeah.
Like he just really go off the deep end.
So by this point, Alex is racing to the party. She's driving down the street and she gets stopped at one point, and the Djinn just breaks her window and is just there.
Just grabs at her. I guess he's just scaring her.
Yeah, just scaring her. So she finally gets to the party and she runs into the doorman, played by the late, great Tony Todd, who is Johnny Valentine. And she's like, hey, this guy's harassing me. Please take care of it. Goes inside the party. And that's when the Djinn goes to face against Johnny Valentine. And he's like, get out of my way. And he's like, no, you're not on the list. Like, you're not expected. And that's when he basically goes into this whole monologue about how, like, is this what you want day in and day out? Like, is this the job that you want? Can't you think of anything better? Don't you want to escape?
Don't you wish you could escape? And then he goes, yes. And then it cuts. Now, okay. So this gag is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But it makes no fucking sense.
No sense.
He says, granted. And as he walks by, there's a water chamber.
Yeah.
Like Houdini, and he's tied up, like in a straitjacket in this water tank,
screaming.
And he says Houdini did it in 2.5 minutes. And I was like, that's not granting someone the wish to escape.
No,
that's trapping
somebody and killing them. In the end,
oh, the water kills them.
Yeah, there is that.
But I was like, okay, that's a bit of a stretch. Like, but they get the stretches get so much better as the series continues.
I just love the fact that like this scene's always played out weird to me though, because like Tony Todd as Johnny Valentine is just like, at first he's just like, what the fuck does that have to do with escape? And he's like, it has to do with everything. And he's like, don't you wish? And he gets like emotional for a second. He's like,
yeah,
yes.
it's like I said,
Like,
it just all of a sudden
like
they're like
reaches
into
him.
it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they're into what the Wishmaster's saying.
Yeah.
I do find that a little bit jarring.
So Tony Todd out of the picture now. We're in the party, and Alex is trying to find her sister Shannon. She's going around the party, finds one woman that looks like her, but it's not her, and then sees her across the bar, goes to her, and she's like, we need to leave here. And she's like, oh, well, your friend just arrived. And she looks across, and Divoff is talking to Robert Englund. And they're talking about how Beaumont was at a party where apparently divorce papers were served during dinner. And he's like, I would love to have a party like that. And he's like, oh, I remember one party where it was talked about for centuries. And Beaumont's like, oh, I would kill to have a party like that. And Divoff just goes, granted.
And here's why this is hilarious.
Yeah, this is the end, by the way. We're already at the
movie,
end.
I mean, it's a slasher movie. It's a 90-minute slasher movie.
Yeah.
But here's the thing I love about this. So now we get chaos very similar, but wildly creative.
The first thing that I want to point out is a woman is sipping champagne with friends, and she makes the comment, oh, man, you can see right through me. As she turns to glass and then just explodes.
That's the thing, though, is as things explode for reasons. But what I love is, if you look at what that wish is, if we're trying to make some semblance of sense of the Djinn's powers, he's granting the same havoc and chaos that party at the beginning had. But the problem is he caused that havoc and chaos as well.
Yeah.
So he's literally granting that he'll make things like he did in the first place. It's not, do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's like, would you like me to do this just like then? It's like, but you did that too.
Yeah.
So you're just going to do whatever you want again.
The same thing again.
Just,
yeah. Well, because
it is epic.
By this point, when we say the rules are off at this point in the movie, the rules are off because this party goes completely unhinged because we have the woman that blows up that is glass. So everybody's getting cut. The piano comes alive and kills Robert Kurtzman, our director.
Rips his head off.
Off.
Strangling people with the string.
A fire poker is in this guy's face as he's pulling it, and it looks like really odd effects.
Like it's ripping his whole head apart, basically.
We see that the statue has snakes all of a sudden that come out and attack people.
Yeah, that was another one where I was like, oh, okay.
The fireplace blows up and ignites a guy who falls through a window.
And then another guy catches on fire.
Statues
start coming to life.
Paintings start coming to life.
Yes.
We have Jack the Ripper appear at one point.
Yeah, at one point, Robert Englund vomits up this random gunk, and then it turns into like a tentacle trying to grab our lead actress.
Yeah,
and capture her.
So by this point, all hell is broken loose in the party. She's trying to find her sister. She's running through the hallways, and as we said, statues start coming alive. So there's one Poseidon statue that throws its trident, and then that's it. It can't do anything else.
That's
there's an archer. There's a warrior. All these things start coming alive and beating the security. One guy gets hit in the face with a mace. One guy gets stabbed with a sword. Jack the Ripper cuts a guy's head off, basically. And then we get back to the room that Beaumont had been showing Alex to begin with. And she's looking around, and she's trying to figure out what to do, but she also realizes that she's trapped. And as she turns around, the Djinn's there with his army of statues now. And he basically says, all right, enough's enough. Like, no more places to go. Like, make your third wish. And she's like, I will not. And he's like, all right, well, do you like my new piece? I call it, Dear Sister, Why Have You Forsaken Me? And now this painting on the wall is Shannon inside of this house, this window, and there's all these tentacles around her. So he's like, what does that make you want to wish more? And she's like, no, I'm not going to like let you win in this case. And he's like, all right, well, fuck it then. You know what I say? If you can't beat them, burn them, baby.
Burn them. Yeah, baby.
So now the sister's painting is on fire, and there's live fire inside of this painting. And that's when Alex takes a moment of stillness, because that's what she told her team, her basketball team, that they need to have stillness to make these shots. So we see her going through in her head, like all the things that have happened. She saw the newspaper article, and that's when she gets the idea that the last wish that she's going to make is that she wishes that Mickey Torelli had not been drinking on the job 2 days ago, which means that now everything that has happened is null and void as the Wishmaster is sucked back into the gym. The spirit realm comes alive and they're pulling him back. The Djinn is getting completely pulled back into this. The statues start exploding for some reason.
Yeah. The ones that were killing everybody start just literally boom.
Which brings up my point, which is if she just basically reversed time, why are these statues exploding? And also, what's going to happen when she's just in Beaumont's house and everything's back to normal?
Yeah. No, it is. It's a bizarre one, but also the fact that, like I said, not the best screenplay.
No, not the best.
Her saying, I wish she wasn't drinking that morning.
Yeah.
But of course, they'd be like, granted. And then he's doing PCP instead or something. But it's funny because when she wishes he die by blowing his brains out, it's like, my first thought was, there are a million things you could wish for that would fuck him over.
Mm-hmm.
There are a million things you could wish for that would fuck him over. Like
Yeah.
couldn't you just wish he'd be trapped in the jewel again? Couldn't
Basically.
you just wish that he could no longer grant wishes anymore? Like, I don't know if that, probably.
There's probably a lot of stipulations to those rules, but like at the same time, this brings up our bit that we made years ago when we watched this, which is basically Wishmaster General.
Yeah, that if he starts granting wishes and they're not clever in their turnabout, you have to call the Wishmaster General to come in and be like, this is not up to snuff for our cursed wishes. Like, you're going to be back in the monkey paw division, pal.
like Percy, this guy wished to be alive forever, and you gave him a sandwich with a knife in it.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. This guy wished he could have $1 million, so you just cut him in half with a skateboard. And he doesn't even skate, so like it's not. I don't even know what made you think to do a skateboard.
Yeah,
he's like wishes. Like, yeah, we know wishes. But like, come on. but it's one of the things that's really endearing, though, and I will say that while sometimes it feels kind of cheap with the Wishmaster in all the movies, because like I said, it gets sillier.
Yeah.
It does kind of endear him as just a son of a bitch.
Yeah,
because he never keeps his promises, obviously.
No.
So I don't want it to sound like I'm just crapping all over this movie. It is such a fun film.
Such a good time.
Super fun.
So she's got the Djinn back. We cut back to 2 days ago. We're on the dock. The statue gets delivered fine. Everything's all good. Now Josh is back alive as well, and she might even give him a chance for them to go on a date. And while all this is happening, we also cut back to Beaumont's room where we close in on the statue. And as we go to the credits, we zoom in. We see the Djinn waiting in his little compound. And that's Wishmaster 1997.
Darn tootin'. And I'm shocked they didn't. I mean, they left it open for a sequel by saying, like, he's obviously not dead.
Yeah.
But I'm shocked they didn't go for something, a little bit more hinting at a sequel.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we get 3 more.
Well,
so.
And I mean, at the end, spoiler, but at the beginning of the second one, Beaumont's collection has now been donated to a museum. So I'm curious as to what happened.
He was probably killed by Indiana Jones. That belongs in a museum, Englund. Is that a German name?
So would you like to guess what the budget was?
I would love to know. 5?
Yeah, 5 on the nose.
This is an era I'm very familiar with, like what they were spending and what live entertainment and them, because this was their big one. Live would probably usually spend more like $1 million or $2 million.
Yeah.
But this was their big tentpole.
Only
film.
Theatrical Wishmaster film, because 2 went direct to video.
Oh, it did go to theaters. Yeah. Okay, damn.
So Wishmaster did go to theaters. Opening weekend, it makes $6,038 on September 21st of 1997.
Nice.
Grossing worldwide $15,738,000.
So not a bad hit, but I'm guessing that the home video sales were just off the charts.
Yeah. So filmed in Wilmington, Los Angeles, California. The shoot itself lasted 33 days.
Not bad.
The opening sequence set in ancient Persia was shot in only 2 days. Peter Akins, who was the writer, was approached to write an evil genie movie and initially turned it down until the studio sent over hundreds of Xerox papers containing research on the Djinn and the lore, which got him back into the writing project.
Okay.
According to a 2016 interview with Pop Horror, it took 3.5 hours to get into costume with 1.5 hours to get out of it, according to the star Andrew Divoff. He also said his favorite scenes for the film were the ones where he shared scenes with the monstrous brethren.
Oh, I could believe that.
Yeah. Wishmaster, Robert Kurtzman says this, Wishmaster was a great experience. I had a very short schedule and had to deliver the film into theaters in 6 months start to finish, so it was very stressful but very fulfilling. Sam Raimi actually recommended me for the film, and after half a dozen meeting with the studio, I got the job. I had to go in and pitch my takes on the film and its design. We shot it in 33 days in LA, which was tough as we had dozens of locations all around the city, so we had a lot of company moves. We had hundreds of effects, which was a bit of a challenge as the schedule was tight. I was very lucky to find Andrew Divoff and Tammy Lauren. Divoff is a very close friend who I enjoy working with on whatever we can together. We now have his second hand when we work, or we now have this second hand when we work together, and that is from Backwoods Horror interview with Kurtzman in 2009.
Nice. Oh, I've never heard a negative word about Divoff.
Yeah. One of the standout features of Wishmaster is its groundbreaking special effects. The team behind these effects incorporated practical techniques along early side CGI technology to create stunning visuals that captured audiences' imaginations. Effects artist Greg Nicotero played a pivotal role in designing some truly horrifying sequences that remain memorable today. These innovative approaches helped realize visions of magic gone wrong while keeping viewers on edge. During the climax at Beaumont's party, the scene involving exploding statues caused a fire to break out on set. 4 charges had been placed to show the blow up in a sequence. However, after the first 2 charges went up, the remaining bottom 2 fused together and exploded, engulfing the set and cameras in flames, which caused the crew to rush in with fire extinguishers to save the set and their cameras. So
Wow.
much smoke remained that the set was shut down for the remainder of the day.
Holy crap.
Not
Jeez.
once, but twice was this movie shut down for a day. I'll get there in a second.
Whoa. Okay.
Andrew Divoff did not blink while playing the Djinn, nor Nathaniel Demarest. Kurtzman thought it was an intentional addition by Divoff, and he was only surprised when Divoff admitted he wasn't aware he was doing so.
Interesting. Usually that comes from, I believe it's called animism,
Yeah.
is a style of acting where you choose an animal to kind of represent how you're acting. And usually villains are represented by birds and reptiles.
I can see that.
That's usually how they kind of go, and reptiles don't blink.
Yeah.
But I've always heard bad guys don't blink. That's just kind of a thing.
Yeah.
You don't want to see them blink. But I'm extra impressed he didn't blink because he was wearing those contact lenses,
No
either as the Wishmaster and as Divoff Master. You know,
He said that suit weighed 45 pounds.
I believe that
Yeah.
1,000%.
Divoff suffered a minor concussion in the scene where the Djinn blows his head off. Filming was shut down the rest of the day after one take when the fake head blew off along with the rattle of the prop gun, causing Divoff to become unresponsive for a few till he could go to the medical tent.
Jeez, that's scary.
Yeah. Tammy Lauren left the very first screening as she had trouble watching her acting choices on a giant screen. She has since come to terms with Wishmaster being one of her favorite projects, largely due to the great experience she had working with Andrew Divoff.
She's a great part of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
She's excellent. Her expressions are great. I found her very likable.
Yeah.
In a 30-something-year-old woman who's being thrown into something crazy. I think she's really
A lot of
the
fun.
problem is that, like a lot of these films, she gets outshined by Divoff,
Yeah.
much like everybody gets outshined by Robert Englund.
Yeah.
So it's tough to really notice that she's doing a lot of great
She
stuff.
had scenes with both, for that matter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point.
Many crew members, including Robert Kurtzman, who is the man killed by the piano, had small roles in the film, sometimes appearing in different scenes as different characters.
Yeah, I noticed. I didn't notice it like glaringly. I just
Yeah.
noticed a few times. I'd be like, this guy's kind of like have a similar body shape.
In the scenes with the Djinn, Kane Hodder, Hodder's name tag on the uniform reads J. Voorhees.
Beautiful.
George Buck Flower improvised the profane insults that he says to the pharmacist. Moreover, Flower removed his false teeth when he auditioned for the part of the homeless man.
No, he was really looking homeless.
Yeah, he was.
You know what's shocking is we lost him in like 2004.
Yeah,
And it feels like we lost him more recently
It
than
does.
that because he's just in everything.
yeah. Characters named Finney, Beaumont, Derelith, and Merritt are all references to early 20th century science fiction or horror writers: Jack Finney, Charles Beaumont, August Derelith, and Abraham Merritt. One of the statues in Raymond Beaumont's room with the statues is the statue of Pazuzu from The Exorcist.
All right.
In the commentary, it is stated that while filming, someone had broken into one of the sets and stole the cameras, even making it on the news.
Holy crap.
Yeah. According to director Robert Kurtzman on the Blu-ray special features, the studio originally wanted Dina Meyer to play the role of Alexandra, but couldn't as she was already committed to Starship Troopers in 97.
I think they got the right one.
I think
nothing
so.
against Dina Meyer.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that it really worked the way it came out.
Greg Nicotero, one of the special effects creator for Wishmaster, also worked the special effects in George A. Romero's movie Day of the Dead, and he played the character Private Johnson. Joseph Pilato, who played the drunk crane operator in Wishmaster, was the main villain in Day of the Dead as Captain Rhodes.
Yeah.
And lastly, Jack Shoulder was approached to direct this film, but declined as he felt the script wasn't very good. When it came to the sequel, he asked to direct it, which he also turned down initially until producers told him that he could write the screenplay for Wishmaster 2, Evil Never Dies, and despite having to follow some basic guidelines, he could have creative freedom with the story.
And he had fun with it.
He did.
And Jack Shoulder, for those who don't remember, he directed Nightmare on Elm Street 2, as well as
Alone in the Dark.
Alone in the Dark, which
Yeah.
is so underrated.
Yes, it is.
Like a really good scary movie.
That will most likely come to the show at some point.
Is that all your trivia?
is it,
'Cause I have a
yes.
couple you missed.
What do you got?
Well, this one's minor trivia, but
Yeah.
the music was done by Harry Manfredini.
Yes.
Famous for doing not only the music for Friday the 13th, but also The Children in 1980, Swamp Thing
Slaughter
from 1982. We don't have to talk about that. No, but Slaughter High Hills of Eyes Part 2.
The dog flashback one.
House.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 1985, not that
Yep.
one, not the other one. But also doing Deep Star 6, The Horror Show, Aces, Iron Eagle 3. But yeah, and then of course Jason Goes to Hell,
Yeah.
Jason X, Wishmaster, The Omega Code. Of course, one of his greatest, A Talking Cat.
Yep. Of course.
And but no, he's a very underrated but horror movie fan favorite.
Yeah.
But I listened to an interview with Andrew Divoff years ago where he told an anecdote about Wishmaster that I always remembered because I loved this anecdote.
Okay.
About the voice.
Yeah.
Do you remember this at all?
I probably, when I did the podcast of Birdman, I probably watched it.
So Divoff was talking about, I think this was on like Killer POV years and years and years ago. Divoff was talking about how he came up with the voice when they were trying to do whatever, that his voice was not being affected much at all. What he had done was he was at that time really into fitness.
I do remember this.
So he was drinking these protein shakes.
Yeah.
And he noticed that if he drank his protein shake and then didn't clear his throat, that he would sound this like really unnatural.
I think he
voice.
also added Skittles into the mix, if I'm not mistaken.
Gummy bears.
Gummy bears, okay.
Yeah, he found out that if he also ate a bunch of gummy bears and didn't drink water or clear his throat, he'd have the sound. So he was constantly slurping and eating these things, and it would make his voice have this like, it's really gross.
It is.
It's a fascinating sound.
Yeah.
And when you know that, you can't unhear it.
I can see that.
It sounds like he just needs to go,
Yep.
But it's so memorable, and I love hearing stuff like that. It makes me think of another story, not about this movie, but another story I love about voices. Yeah. How Clint Howard, every day on the way to set for Ice Cream Man to get his voice that gravelly, he would just scream at the top of his lungs the whole 20-minute drive. So when he got there, his voice was super, super hoarse and
didn't he also use
nasty.
punk songs?
Maybe.
I think he also screamed to punk songs is what I heard.
It sounds right.
Yeah.
So but I just love that little factoid about Divoff's voice.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure we mentioned it because it's one of the things I think of the moment I watch Wishmaster.
I could see that. So what are your final thoughts on Wishmaster?
Oh, well, Wishmaster's a rent it 100%. But if you're a horror movie fanatic, it is a really incredible piece of 90s horror.
Yeah.
Especially somewhat pre-Scream.
Yeah.
Although I think Scream had already come out, it was not affected by Scream. And that's something that I love to ponder is what would the 90s have been like if Scream had never happened in the realm of horror movies? Because once Scream happened and it made its fortune, every movie became these really good looking kids that look like they're straight off the WB. Sometimes they were.
Yeah.
And I have nothing. That's where I kind of, when I think of those, I call them like teen Screams slasher movies.
Yeah.
You know, they're something like that. But I just, I loved this movie. So if you love horror movies, then the royalty alone is a buy it.
Yeah.
And that Wishmaster collection, assuming it's still in print, is a great bargain. You get all 4 movies. The 1 and 2 are worth the price alone.
Absolutely.
3 and 4 are a lot of silly fun.
Yeah.
So it's a rent it, but if you love horror, then it's a buy it because he deserves to be maybe not on the Mount Rushmore of, horror, but at least selling t-shirts out of a cart underneath Mount Rushmore.
I can see that. Yeah. It's a buy it for me simply because this movie is so much fun. I think even non-horror fans will still appreciate it because of how batshit it is.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
It's 90s as fuck. It's a time capsule for the who's who of horror at that point, but also no matter how many times you've seen this, you can still find something fun in it every single time.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's a buy it for me, and that's why it's also my birthday pick for this time.
It's true.
So we always like to end the show with a couple of recommendations. The first one I have this week is 1989's Warlock. It says a warlock flees from the 17th to 20th century with a witch hunter in hot pursuit. Currently available on Plex and Tubi, featuring the great and late great Julian Sands. If you haven't seen Warlock is an absolute blast and blends right into that Wishmaster feel.
That first Warlock movie is so good.
Yeah, it is,
and it's in a kind of understated way because 2, like a lot of that era. 2 got way more to work with, kind of like Critters 1 and Critters 2.
Yeah.
You know how Critters 2, I like Critters 1 a lot.
Yeah.
In particular because it's simple.
Yeah.
I love Critters 2. It is a blast, but you could tell that they had everything to work with that time. So Warlock, really underrated.
Yeah.
But 1 and 2, chef's kiss.
And then the second recommendation, this is a must for anybody if you haven't seen this movie yet. I'm sure we've talked about it on the show before. In fact, I know we have, but it's 1995's Tales from the Crypt presents Demon Knight.
I just love that movie so much. There's nothing not to love about that movie.
Currently available on Starz, rentable on Prime and Fandango. High-level demons collect low-level demons as warriors in an attempt to obtain a key containing the blood of Christ as the battle of good versus evil takes place in an abandoned church.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty solid.
But yeah, Demon Knight is such an absolute blast. Billy Zane is our Wishmaster in this case and is superb.
Do you remember back when I used to throw big Halloween parties? I would always struggle with what's the midnight movie because we'd have a midnight movie.
Oh yeah,
which would often start at 11:30 because my friends are all getting old. But one year, usually it was a Halloween, like a movie takes place on Halloween, but one night I just remember I went, how about Demon Night?
Yeah.
And you were like, yes.
Yeah.
And we watched it and everybody was just enthralled the entire time.
Yeah. What's your recommendation?
So I wanted to go with something that gave me a similar feeling of that like super thick 90s, because I tried to go with like wishes granted and blah, blah, blah. I do enjoy that Wish Upon movie. It was pretty cool, but I decided that what really made me feel the way Wishmaster does to an extent is 1994's Brain Scan.
That was one that was on my list, possibly.
Of course it was.
Just saying.
The concept of Brain Scan, a teenager is part of an interactive video game where he kills innocent victims. Later, the murders become real. Super, super fun.
Yeah.
And of course it stars Edward Furlong of The Crow fame. And
That's exactly
and Terminator 2. It's a great film, great makeup effects, highly memorable.
Yeah.
I'm so happy it's not a lost movie. It was hard
lost
to get
for a
really long time.
Yeah.
But now I'm happy to say it's on Tubi and you can rent it on Amazon Prime.
And it has a great Blu-ray from Shout.
Oh, it's gorgeous. And Brain Scan is just one of those films. I caught it on late night cable and didn't know what it was for years. I
can see that.
I just remembered like the kid from Terminator 2's in it and and then one day I found out, oh, that's Brain Scan. And then it was like, oh, and you can't get a copy.
Nope.
I had to buy a bootleg in like 2002 at a convention in order to finally see it.
Well, and then I remember there was that bootleg Blu-ray. I don't think I bought it. I think you grabbed it.
I bought it.
Yeah. And then, because that was like the only way we could get it for the longest
Yeah,
time.
I believe it had Brain Scan and Fright Night 2 on it.
No, you're thinking of Return of the Living Dead and Friday Night 2.
Oh yeah, it was Return of the Living Dead with the original
2,
soundtrack.
Yeah, 2 and 2.
So, but yeah, Brain Scan is my suggestion, available on Tubi.
So do we have any emails this week?
We do. And before we get to this email, I do want to mention, if you guys want to email us, we love them. We really appreciate hearing from you guys. And Dave actually took it upon himself to painstakingly track down every request you guys have ever made.
Yeah, I did.
And we're going to get to a lot of them this year.
Yeah, of this month, actually.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So Dave literally put them down and then put down like multiple requests and stuff like that. So if you want to email us, recommend something, tell us what you thought of our thoughts on something, or just like judge Dave on his life choices.
Absolutely.
You can send us an email at doyouevenmoviepod@gmail.com. That's doyouevenmoviepod@gmail.com, or just head to doyouevenmovie.com and send us an email through there. We would love to hear from you.
Yes, we would.
You can also comment on Spotify, which is a pretty fun thing. And I respond to all of them and show them to Dave if it's prudent. So this one is from Jake.
Okay.
And the subject is still love your recommendations.
Hell yeah.
Hey guys, Jake here again. Just coming back to say that I really loved listening to the Carrie show and learned quite a bit about it that I didn't know before. I hadn't actually heard the documentary De Palma, and now I'm very interested in watching it since I like a lot of his films. Thanks for bringing it up, and I'm looking forward to the next episode as always. Take care.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jake. We always love hearing that you are learning something because, frankly, I'm shocked people aren't stupider when they listen to you and I talk about movies for an hour or two.
That is fair.
But I'm so glad that you got more curious about Carrie and about Brian De Palma.
Yeah.
Because who doesn't love a little Brian De Palma in your life?
That De Palma documentary is literally just him in front of a camera for nearly 2 hours, and it's just De Palma on De Palma. And it's the absolute epitome of what you would want to hear a director talk about when they're about their films.
And speaking of documentaries about movies, especially popular movies, John Wick is Pain, the 2-hour documentary about the John Wick series.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it. I got a lot out of it. The first hour is harrowing. It's just them trying to get the first movie made.
Yeah.
And then the second hour is basically just about how awesome everything they've done is, but they go into huge detail about how they did it, the elements that they invented in order to do the effects and to do the stunts. It's really, really fascinating. And it's totally worth 2 hours of your time.
Yeah.
John Wick is Pain. I rented it on Amazon Prime. I don't think it's streaming anywhere for free or with a membership at this time, but John Wick is Pain.
You should really cool. You should probably also mention the other doc you watched, because I think that's definitely our core audience.
Oh, the We Kill for Love.
We Kill for Love, yeah.
So that's a documentary I caught. It's now available on Tubi. I watched it on Amazon Prime. But it's called We Kill for Love, and it's basically a rundown of the erotic thriller, a genre that came in like a lion in the mid 80s and left with a whimper by the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But at one point in the 90s, there were over 50 of them coming out in 1 year.
I can believe that.
And the other strange thing about those They were huge on the video market. They were huge on cable. Most of them didn't go to theaters. There were a few exceptions.
Yeah.
But most of those movies, like a good chunk of them are just, they're not available.
Yeah.
Like you can find them on tape. A lot of them are now available to rent finally, but I was taking down names of movies I'd never heard of because the documentary is 3 hours. I mean, it is expansive. I watched it with just bated breath, emphasis on bated. And, but it was super fascinating. They go into why the genre died. They try to figure out why. They talk to a ton of people who produced and directed those films.
Yeah.
They talk to a ton of people who were studio heads at the time. They talk to people who were academics. It's a really interesting, deep dive.
Yeah.
I mean, it being 3 hours long tells you that it is not for the average person. It's for somebody who's really curious about such a niche concept. But I adore it, and it's turned me on to some really interesting erotic thrillers because the 90s was the time of erotic thrillers, and that was the time that I was watching cable way too late at night. I caught a ton of them, and I've been slowly finding several of the ones that I saw when I was a kid. The biggest one was Dangerous Touch with Lou Diamond Phillips.
Yeah,
I discovered that. I'd seen that as a little kid.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Should not have.
Probably
but I
not.
did.
But hey, you did.
So I do really recommend We Kill for Love on Tubi.
That is awesome. So would you like to know what we are talking about next week on the show? As we are basically going to be doing a listener request month, actually.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, Hell's Bells and Taco Shells, tell me.
The most requested title out of our entire run, from what I could find, 1984's The Karate Kid. As we are also getting ready for, I just lost, is it Karate Kid Legacy? Is that what it's called?
I think it's called Legacy.
Legacy, yeah.
Good. You just want me to cry on the show. I will cry.
I'm sure you
about
will.
Karate Kid.
But yeah, it is currently available on Hulu. You can also rent it wherever you get your videos from. There's still a great Blu-ray set out there that I think is 1, 2, and 3 together that you can also get your hands on. I mean, Karate Kid is readily available, and we are going to talk all about it next week on the show, and I'm excited to get into that.
Yeah, it's Karate Kid Legends.
That's it, yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it.
But yeah, we are doing a listener request month. I basically went through every single episode, listening to the ends of them, writing down both our recommendations as well as your requests from emails. So I have everything in front of me now, and we will be taking care of some blind spots this summer.
I was shocked when you were done pulling that together and you texted me info. I was shocked you didn't just say, "Do you read Sutter Kane?" And that was all you would say to me. So, but no, I'm looking forward to talking about Karate Kid and talking about a bunch of fascinating movies that the audience wants us to talk about.
Yes.
And as your birthday gift, I hope you enjoyed. You got to smell a very good cigar.
I did smell that very good cigar.
No, that one is a treat for the room.
Yeah.
So,
but I would also like to say, we've been doing the show for over a year now. I've celebrated 2 birthdays on the show now, and I'm very grateful both of the listeners that we have that come back every week, but also our new listeners as well.
Sure.
It's been an experience to kind of just have the realization of, oh, people enjoy hearing us chat and whatnot.
Well,
and usually our riffing that we would do just by ourselves.
Enjoy with a lowercase e.
Yeah, lowercase e. But yeah, no, I cannot express anymore how grateful I am to those listening that tune in every week to send us emails. This is a highlight of my week usually because I get to hang out with you, but also, like I said, this is shit that we've been doing for a decade now. And now that we have a listenership that tunes in every week and wants to hear from us, it just gives me more oomph to do this show every week.
So you heard the man, stop listening, for the love of God. No, it's been a blast, and I've really enjoyed since we didn't say it, but we changed the format at the beginning of the year, and I think it's made the show even more fun.
A lot more fun.
As people sit here and go, yeah, 31 minutes of you guys talking about your personal life. Well, as I always like to say when people say they take forever to get to the movie, there are plenty of other movie podcasts that you can fuck yourself off to.
And there's also a skip button, too, that somebody nicely pointed out on one of our reviews.
I mean, hey, have fun. I stand by my fuck yourself off to comment, which I didn't realize I was going to say. You know what's funny is I've been in a little bit of a mood for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with that so quickly.
I'm sorry.
I'm just being funny. No, but yeah, that's the only time it snuck out during this whole episode. So
that's fair.
I guess at that, we'll just say thank you again for listening. We'll see you guys very soon. But remember, if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, make sure you're subscribed. If you could leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, it really does make a huge difference.
It does.
If you're sitting here right now and wondering, like, do I have Apple Podcasts or Spotify? Grab it real quick.
Yeah.
Leave us 5 stars. It's worth its weight in gold because it tells other movie fans who discover our show that it's worth listening to because people are enjoying it.
Yeah.
And if you're on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. Leave us a comment. We love to hear from you.
We do.
So I guess all that's left to say is we will see you next Wishes. We didn't even have to plan that.
Nope.
That's just how it goes. So let's go and not clear our throats, boys.
Stay curious.